Alrighty, absolutely no visuals today. Alrighty, kids, just us two and our ugly mugs talking about the two big superhero movies of the summer, and if you want the one little one that got released on DVD a little bit earlier and is now on streaming HBO Max in the name of Batman Ninja. I don't know.
I haven't seen it yet, so
I've only seen parts of that one. God bless you if you're into that kind of thing. But I watched it, I was like, yeah, okay. It obviously was a Japanese cartoon that they overdubbed, and it just, I don't know, didn't appeal to me that much. But what we are mainly here to talk about, of course, is the Superman versus Fantastic Four. I don't think there's a versus. I think we could have both. But people have been putting these two together.
But money has to be made somewhere, and so the two need to be at odds.
Hey, Yeti, what's up? I'll tell you what, the more than even Superman versus Fantastic Four, do you know what I'm hearing? Superman versus Superman with the Snyder Bros. You know, they're like...
Yeah, because they're... I will say they're salty, but on the same token, even as someone who hates Man of Steel and thinks it completely and utterly fucks over the character, I can see why people are upset, because even though I hated the writing and world building of the Snyderverse, I have a great degree of admiration for Henry Cavill, because Henry Cavill appears to be the only motherfucker on that set who knew the character he was supposed to be playing, and he never really got to, because Zack Snyder was too busy turning a character whose defining traits are idealism, altruism, and compassion to a fault into a Randian objectivist character, which, if you know anything about Randian objectivism, it is the ideology that believes in the virtue of self-interest, and that altruism is some kind of slave morality, to paraphrase Nietzsche.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I actually think the Snyder Bros are making me dislike the DCEU. Hey, Jay, what's up?
Hello, gentlemen. Good to see you.
How are you doing? All righty, so let's talk movies. The last one to came out, of course, Fantastic Four. Okay, we got Jay, we got an RDV. Dom's still a little bit late. How are y'all? I got to tell you, I went and saw it on Thursday. I saw it twice. I went and saw a crappy movie called I Know What You Did Last Summer, and then I had time, so I jumped into Fantastic Four again. After all is said and done, I come home and Comics Division has show on. I have to get on and talk about this because I am so freaking excited. He gets on and Division says, what do you think about it? And I just went, Fantastic Four. That freaking movie, I was pumped, man. I mean, that was excellence from beginning to end.
I'm happy for you. I was less thrilled with it. I wound up putting it in between Winter Soldier on the low end and Guardians 3 on the high end. That's where I ended up.
You have Winter Soldier on the low end?
Yeah, but Guardians 3 and Winter Soldier on the low end of his list of Marvel movies.
Okay. For the record, I believe at the moment Winter Soldier is 15 out of 51 because I count all the shows and stuff too. So that's where Winter.
That is still at the top of the list.
That's where Winter Soldier is for me, because, and I realize I'm going to commit heresy here, but it is the weakest of the original Cap trilogy.
Blasphemy!
I agree with that. I agree with that part. Yes.
Obviously, the worst one is Cap 4 because the unspeakable bullshit that movie was.
That's not Cap.
That's not
Cap. Yeah, but being that as it may, I don't understand the absolute boner people have over Winter Soldier because I think it's the weakest of the trilogy.
It's fantastic. Dave saying, I remember seeing the original I Know What You Did Last Summer and being so disappointed. Then you won't be disappointed in what you see this time if you go see the reboot.
But back to Fantastic Four for a second.
Okay. What did you think of that? Like a quick overall, and we'll get into specifics. Spoiler alerts at the beginning, by the way.
I was pleasantly surprised. I was expecting something more in line with the MCU's recent offerings, and mercifully I didn't get that. I didn't like it as much as I wish I could have, because I wish it had gone a little bit further. But my main complaints are I wish it had gone a little bit further, and I really, really wish someone other than Robert Downey Jr. was playing Doom. But if those are my substantive complaints at the moment, I think it's safe to say they did a pretty decent job.
Alrighty. How about you, RDV? Like a quick how you feel, and then we'll get into details and such a little bit later.
Honestly, I went in this movie, and I admit I watch these both online.
Okay.
I don't go to theaters because my theater is overcharged, and I don't like being in huge crowds. I like being able to hear the actual movie. So it was leaked online. I'll watch it again when it just hits Disney Plus. I watched it. I thought it was a decent movie. But my only complaint for me personally was the Mole Man. The worst casting you could ever for a Mole Man. He's the only villain they show. Out of all the other, they mentioned the other villains, but they show him, and he's a dope. You know.
Well, you and me we've had this conversation backstage. I'll get into it a little bit more. I want to allow Jay to give us his overall. Like I said, we're going to get into details in a little bit.
Quick, can I say it? I think the reason, I personally like Winter Soldier is because it's Ed Brubaker's Winter Soldier.
Okay. Jay, what do you think of the Fantastic Four?
I have not seen it yet. I will be seeing it this week, but I'm hearing nothing but good things, and I'm very excited.
Okay, there may be some spoilers ahead. Just let you know.
Well,
okay, that's fine.
That's why I put the ticker up.
All right. Yep.
Appreciate you.
Also, it's good to have it up there because as much as I hate spoilers, I am the worst for accidentally letting something slip. So,
overall, for me, for the Fantastic Four, though, is that I thought Pedro Pascal did a better job than I thought he was going to do.
He was fine as with Pedro Pascal's performance. What I saw was a guy who is ones and zeros. He's completely digital. He's an analytical mind. He has scientific mind, and he's trying
to solve things.
He's trying to be a more emotional guy. When Sue comes up and talks to him about some stuff, he says he understands, but he only understands on a scholarly level about her emotions.
To put it in a slightly different way, I kind of, and this movie kind of crystallized it for me. I don't know if Stanley based Reed on anyone in real life, but this just clicked to me after watching the movie. I think Reed Richards might be on the autistic spectrum, because that's exactly how Pedro Pascal plays it, and that's also why people bitched and moaned and all sorts of shit with regards to why did Reed tell Wanda about Black Bolt's mouth thing in Multiverse of Madness. And I defended it, saying the thing about Reed is he is the dumbest smart person to ever smart. I.e., in D&D terms, he has an int of 100 and a wisdom of -4. So that strikes me as being in character for Reed, and I'm glad that they kept that up because, again, in the comics as well, Reed is the dumbest smart person to ever smart.
All right, Dom, we're talking about Fantastic Four. You want to give us your overall?
Well, I mean, what can I say? From what I've observed, certainly those from people who have seen it. it's pretty much it's going to be the definition like of a mixed bag.
Okay, so you've been hearing yay and nay all.
Pretty much.
You haven't seen it yet.
No.
Okay. Okay. Same
there
as
will be
Jay.
spoilers tonight, so just you
Then-
know.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Just give you a heads up.
But instead, I was actually reading the crossover between Superman and the Fantastic Four done by Dan Jurgens.
Okay. That's a good book for us to talk about at some point. I don't think I've ever read that one.
With
It
the
aged well.
Hitchcock? Cyber
Yes.
Superman? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
Yeah. Cyber Superman became it was basically Lex Luthor with creating his own Fantastic Four team, pretty much, but everything went bad, and yeah.
Well,
All right.
Yeah.
but I will say like one of the strengths like of this new Fantastic Four movie from observation is the even though like people like justifiable reservations of casting Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards.
Mhm.
Well, I will say even with critics. The critics look of current Marvel Studios, Marvel Comics, as well as those who are not fans of Pedro Pascal, they had give credit where it's due that the guy actually did decent as Reed.
Yes.
That being said, I think we would have been better off if John Krasinski had been
A comeback.
had remained the
Yes.
casting for Reed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bring back John Krasinski and also bring in his wife, like
Emily
Emily Blunt.
Yes, that's the way. Oh my gosh, that was like the
It's
perfect casting. I don't get that. I don't get why they didn't.
Well,
even
Emily Blunt flat
Emily-
out said she's not going to be
Yeah,
doing.
they always
movies.
say stuff like that. That's a negotiation tactic.
But
Yeah,
she
but-
also
It
said
comes
she
from
lost
money.
out. She had auditioned for Black Widow. So take that how you may. What were you about to say there, RDV?
I was
You
gonna
disagreed
say,
Let me
with
just
it.
make one more
I-
point, and I'll let me. Sorry, Big Man. I'll just say one more point. If they would have like heavily gone after her,
Uh-huh.
they could have gotten her. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise, I can say that going heavily after her can get you trespassed. So I don't recommend it. RDV, what were you going to say about the casting?
I was gonna say there's a lot of people who just see him as Jim from The Office, no matter what role he's in. So that probably would have hurt them more.
Are you
But
one of those people?
Okay, but Venkman, it wouldn't have because we've already seen John Krasinski as Reed in Multiverse of Madness. That
And you
bothers.
you just said he was stupid in that one because
No.
he told.
Yeah, no. What
Oh.
I said was people were bitching that he acted stupid in Multiverse of Madness, not realizing that that's exactly who Reed is. The guy with the
But he's not.
100.
Though.
No, it entirely is. This is who
No, he's
Reed
not.
is. Yes, he is. He's the guy with 100 in int and a -4 in wisdom in D&D terms. He has no people skills and no common sense whatsoever. He has the common sense of a wet piece of clay. He's so big picture focused that he can't remember, oh wait, people exist. That is exactly who Reed is and always
The
has been.
absent-minded professor.
Yeah, in fact, this was actually touched on in Jonathan Hickman's run of the Fantastic Four, where where essentially he received a wake-up call and he needs to get himself like out of the big picture mentality and actually be there and connect, not be there like with people around him, not just his family, but also his friends and acquaintances.
Go back and read the Kirby Stan Lee. He's not dumb.
Venkman,
All right. Dalton,
Well, I got cut off by Dalton.
Dalton, let him finish his thought, and then you
Sorry.
respond.
Yeah, I said originally I would not have gone with John Krasinski because Pedro Pascal actually did a really good job on this. The biggest complaint most people have is they don't like him as a person when he's doing in the interviews, and they're sick of seeing Pedro Pascal everywhere.
I've seen that quite a bit.
And I've also seen people complain about him having a mustache. Caesar Romero had a freaking mustache as the Joker. No one cared.
That is true. That
And
is
a lot
true.
of men.
Throughout.
To be fair, they covered it with makeup quite
Yeah.
well with Cesar
But-
Romero.
Oh, yeah.
You would have had a totally different. Here's the thing: you would have had a much different version of Reed Richards with John Krasinski. I can't argue that or argue against that. But I don't know.
know you're not a big
I don't think
Pedro.
it would have fit the story plot they were doing though.
I know
Okay.
you're not a big Pedro guy because you and I have made fun of him a lot.
Dude, I am not a big Pedro
you
guy.
giving him this praise makes me hopeful for the movie. It really does.
Because literally, I said he showed emotion, but he was also out. He's in the comic books we've been reading on the Geeky Puppet Show. Reed is just because he doesn't show emotion all the time, but he actually does because he's too busy thinking about. He said, even in the movie, he says,
Yes.
"I'm thinking of the worst things that can happen and how to solve them because I
Yeah,
don't want
he's-
anything to happen to you."
He's a
channeling-
he's a
Yeah.
classic case of high functioning autism. Is basically who Reed is.
I wouldn't say
He doesn't.
autism, but
He doesn't do people. He does numbers. And
Can we
and
Okay,
back
so-
to people geniuses instead of like adding things to the autistic spectrum? These are just genius people. That's all.
well,
All right,
yeah.
let me go.
but-
Hold on, Dalton. I want to progress here a little bit. So the plot of the Fantastic Four, if you haven't heard it, we find out Reed and Sue are pregnant. They're going to have a kid, and
Sue's pregnant. Reed's not pregnant.
Yeah,
That's it.
that
That
was
was
very
not
weird
proven.
phrasing, sir.
that was not proven.
It's a
Anyway,
very nice.
you know what? Married people say they're pregnant. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I've
The
never
thing is,
heard
and
anyone say that before
Guys,
in my
try-
life.
Oh,
well,
people
yeah.
said it all the time around the time.
okay.
Okay.
Raise your hand if
Let-
you've been married for 30 years and then. Okay. So anyway,
Let the man
moving
speak.
forward.
We
Moving,
weren't-
hold on,
hey,
guys,
hey,
please.
I'm just saying to be technical, you took a pause in between. You weren't married all the way. You've been married, but you weren't together.
Point stands,
So
Venkman, yeah.
anyway, then of course the Silver Surfer comes down and says your planet is doomed. Fantastic Four says, "Bulls, we're going to go out and we're going to meet this threat." They meet the threat. The threat is way too much for them to take right then and there. So they come home. They come up with a plan, and Galactus shows up. They do fighting. Boom! There you go. That's the plot in about 30 seconds.
Well, you left out the big part of the plot. Galactus wants Franklin because
Oh yeah,
he's got a baby.
Galactus.
He realizes because he can end his curse, give it to Franklin.
Right. By the way, okay, so one of the points of contention as well. But when I sat down for this movie, I said to myself, okay, Pedro Pascal is Reed Richards. We know this. Let's find out how they do. We have a female Silver Surfer. We know this. Let's see how it does. And I'm not going to hate the movie because of these things, because this is what we got. Does the movie do things well with these? I got to tell you, I did not mind Julia, what's her name, is Silver Surfer. It's a different universe than the 616. It's and she was fine. Did anybody have any contention? Were you guys like, oh no, female super? This
I don't have any problem with her necessarily, but I do think it was a mistake not to go with Norrin
Okay.
because
So far, like one of the consistent critiques is she was just like she was a weak. She was written weakly as a character.
Okay.
I don't even necessarily know about that. I just know from in terms of what the fans would prefer and in terms of what the normies are going to understand, it was a mistake not to go with Norrin Rad.
Well, I don't know
Yeah.
if it is, but it's a case of you're absolutely right, Dalton. Okay, but you're also wrong, and I'll explain it.
Can I say something?
Hold on, let me finish, and then RDV, you've got next. Okay, so we know that Fantastic Four are in a different dimension, and then they're going to come to ours. So when they get to ours, you can actually bring up Norrin Rad, and you don't waste them on an alternate dimension. Don't speak, Dalton. It's RDV's turn. Okay, there you go. Man,
Yeah,
I can see you revving.
I was gonna say they had established a year ago that this was not gonna be main universe because
Right.
it wouldn't make sense, So I can excuse having an alternate version of Norrin Rad. My only problem is if they're gonna do an alternate version where you're gonna have whatever Shallow. I was gonna say Shallow.
Shalabal is her name.
Yeah, as Silver Surfer instead of Norrin.
Mhm.
Then we should have had other characters like Mole Man should have been Mole Woman or something like that.
Well, maybe.
Go ahead,
Dalton.
roll with it. So
Sick 'em.
I can agree with that, and I disagree with you, E, on the basis of there's nothing stopping them from having two different versions of Norrin.
But you would have used up. It's like using
You don't-
Kang for Ant-Man and then saying he's going to be the big bad. They
stop,
already used it.
Stop. If it's a different universe, then it can be a different version of the same dude, and that argument is moot anyway, considering we already saw a version of Reed in Multiverse of Madness, and no one is raising Cain over the fact that we're seeing Reed again. That does not make any sense.
I'm telling you,
You are
I'm telling
talking out of your ass.
It's the way people perceve movies. If
No,
you used
it
him-
isn't.
If you used him, they would go, "Wait, we already saw that guy."
Then why aren't people going, why is Reed still alive? Because if your premise were accurate, people would be confused that Reed is still alive, and they're not. So
The
you're
best
talking
part-
out of your ass, and you need to admit that you're talking out of your ass. I'm
No,
sorry.
and I'll tell you why. Because I think most
Tell me
people see
why.
this as a reboot. I don't think people are putting it together that it's any kind of
so
same
this-
universe.
This is a perfect
RDB.
way to. This is a perfect way to start the MCU new, fresh. Bring back old faces if they wanted to. They could bring back Steve Rogers as Captain America in this if they really wanted to start the whole universe over. Because this is a different universe.
Yep.
They're gonna wind up doing the Secret World or Secret Wars ending where everything gets consolidated back into one timeline again, I think.
Okay. Alrighty.
As far as I know, in this universe, there's no Brie Larson.
Okay, so
I want to live there.
Why didn't they cast Rebecca Romaine as Captain Marvel? She basically played the same character on the Librarians as Eve Baird, and it would have been perfect.
Because she's a different.
this,
character.
by the way, I think this backs your statement up. Both versions of Monica Rambeau's mom, being the one in Captain Marvel and the one in Marvels, which were two different universes,
Yeah.
used the same actors. So, yep, that actually
Oh.
speaks to what you were saying.
It's lazy, but that's me. That's me.
I'll just say it's
Okay.
Hollywood. They can do whatever they want to do. Whether it doesn't have to fit your fanboy logic. That's
Right.
Except if it doesn't make sense to people who actually analyze it, then it sure as shit not going to make sense to the normies. And if it doesn't
I
make
don't
sense to
analyze-
either the fans or the normies, then
Well,
we're doomed.
actually,
You don't need to
RDB
analyze
is-
it. You don't need to analyze it. It's called a movie. Go watch it. You eat popcorn and you go home.
My
That's what I'm
dude,
saying.
storytelling has to make some kind of sense, or it's literally just Marcel Duchamp's urinal.
To you, other people, just go watch a movie and don't get. butthurt
Actually,
about
I gotta
Dalton's
say,
the only gay guy I know who can pull off bro lingo. I just wanted to point that out. You pull it off nicely, Dalton.
Dominic is experiencing some difficulty here. He's trying. The thing keeps saying it's trying to connect, but has not yet. He'll be back in a little bit, I'm sure. Okay, I'll tell you what though. One thing where I'm watching the film, of course, they go into Galactus's ship, and they walk out, and there he is, and
Butt naked.
the eyes light up, and I gotta say, I had a geekasm when you just see. Bzz. I did not see any previews, by the way. I stayed away. I saw the one. That's all I need to see. You know, you don't have to give me preview. Just tell me the name and the date. That's it, and I'm there. But so I know this had been spoiled for some people before they got to the movie. But that first shot of Galactus, where his eyes light up and there he is, I was like, "Oh my god, this is so awesome!" And I got to tell you, I did not watch it on my computer or my phone. I watched it in 3D IMAX, and I always make sure I'm right at in the bowl part, the bottom part. I don't like to be up in the bleachers.
What?
I like to be right here, where
You
when
don't
I
get-
look,
well,
I
my-
have
my-
nothing but
You
screen.
don't get migraines.
Not even a little bit.
My logic is that if I'm already paying for Disney Plus, why am I going to pay for a movie twice from Disney?
Yeah.
I
But
have a similar rule where I pirate everything and I only go to the theater to see it if it's worth actually paying for.
this is a movie you have to see on big screen, in my opinion. But then again, I said the same thing about our other movie that we will be
All right,
talking
so
about tonight, and that's Superman.
But here's the bigger debate, though:
Loved it.
Crypto or Herbie?
Herbie. We'll get to that when we're talking Superman.
How about neither? Just
I seriously
saying.
think about Crypto. Serious, but that's my bias. That's my
Herbie was a very helpful robot. So, and he's actually nice, and he kind of reminded me. Now, I do believe Herbie talked in the cartoon. It's been 50 years, so I may be off.
Like plans.
It's not
Oh,
Crypto.
oh
It's
my
not
gosh, I
Crypto's
could do
fault.
this.
Crypto was raised by a psychotic, drunken whore. That's
But,
not his fault.
Did Galactus, his character on Screen Glory, Galactus was awesome in this film, by the way.
We don't know how long Kara's been there. Kara could have just been on Earth for maybe under a year, and she was rebelling, and then she found a place where it actually has a red sun, and she can get drunk.
Now, one thing I would say, the CG in Fantastic Four was awesome, except for a few points. For me, it was great. There's one scene though where he jumps into the ocean and it causes a tsunami, and as he's standing up, instead of water, it kind of looks like they had a model of Galactus and they just poured sand down his chest.
Do you feel like that water was just going to flood the tunnels and submarine?
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, they just killed all the people they tried to save. Yeah.
I do think making Galactus change size like they did was kind of a waste.
Well,
Herbie's the robot, not the damn car. No one cares about the ugly car.
That's the way Galactus is. The more he needs to feed, the smaller he gets. Anyway.
Right, but I think it would have been more effective if Galactus was stuck in space and he sent his Herald to do Herald things. Because otherwise, what's the point of having the Herald if you don't send them to do shit you can't do for yourself?
Your movie is you want the big bad not to be active?
He shouldn't be active because he's basically he's a force of nature. You can't like it.
Well, that's okay. Then you, sir, don't have a problem with the movie. You need to go back to 1962 and argue with Jack Kirby and Stan Lee.
The point is, it makes him less threatening to have him shrink, and it raises questions about why have a herald if you don't send them to do shit you can't do for yourself.
They're the ones that find the planets. But yeah, he's been getting out of that ship and attacking her since his first appearance.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
I still maintain it would have been more effective to treat him like the deific force of nature that he's supposed to be, especially given that the whole premise of the story is.
At that point in time, you might as well just make him a cloud because he's a passive villain. You don't want a passive villain.
So the reason he has to get up out of the chair because he's old and he can't sit that long. Okay, let's move around.
Tell me about it. No, but okay, I'm trying to think of things about
Kirby
this.
Crackle? I don't remember. I thought there was when they first see Galactus. I see a lot of stars, but I don't remember seeing.
I don't remember seeing the Kirby Crackle.
I want to say
the closest you would see it is there's a chase. Between where the Silver Surfer's chasing the Fantastic Four,
so they have
and you see it in the black hole.
So they have the rocket ship. They go up and and it's basically they attach to it, and they go and use it to go into FTL, faster than light. They call it, and it becomes pretty much like a space adventure at first. In there, it was really cool. So when they go and make Galactus, though, they have to go back in the FTL and try to get away from him because he wants the baby, and the Silver Surfer chases them into FTL, which is really cool. So what does Reed do? Let's throw that bitch into a black hole.
Okay, I gotta ask a question. One of the point, and once again, you see that spoilers going on, guys. One of the things is when they are in space, when they're being chased by the Silver Surfer, Sue goes into labor with Franklin. I want to know. I know Dalton, you saw it, and I know Jay, you said you didn't. RDV saw it. Okay.
Yeah.
Did either of you notice Sue's bloody show? You know what the bloody show is?
Yeah, when it comes out.
Right. Before the baby comes out, things kind of... But they are in zero gravity, and she has the bloody... It's a blink and you can miss it thing where I'm watching, I go, did they just do that? Nobody seemed to respond to it but me. Everybody's just watching, and I'm like, They just had a big blast of blood hit the freaking wall
And this is
behind
why I
them.
said
Yeah,
they should be-
I think I noticed it, but I didn't care because
Okay.
it didn't rate as an important detail.
It
Like-
doesn't affect the plot. I just thought, what a freaking detail to
Another
add to the
reason-
movie,
well,
man.
I'm just saying, there's
But,
another
like,
reason why this movie
my
should be
brain
14.
went, well, of course that would happen because they are in zero gravity. I think it might have been smarter on Sue's part if she, put a force field around herself while she was going into
Could be, yeah.
But
Oh, no,
oh,
she was doing. I guess she was.
She
doing
was
that with the ship.
protecting the ship
Yeah.
as she was flying and giving birth. She was,
yeah, so
So-
yeah, fair enough. But at
so
the same time, I think it would have been more impactful if she was like, okay, I clearly can't be in the fight whilst I'm in labor, so I'm
RDV,
gonna bubble myself
speak
until
your
I'm
piece
done.
there, sir.
All right.
RDV.
So we should bring up that when Galactus scanned her, he saw the baby, and then and Galactus put her into labor because he wanted the baby.
He wanted the baby, yeah.
So that's why, because otherwise, she was still ready to go, and but he basically induced her labor as a good
But-
doctor.
Okay.
So,
sorry.
but I want to say though, this movie should have been 4D. Can you imagine them throwing tomato juice at you?
It is, yeah.
Why?
Okay, so
Why,
here's the thing.
Benjamin? Why do you have to fill my head with these things?
I heard a lot of people complaining about this, complaining about the whole, well, what? He's just going to sit there with a baby? No, he's going to raise him to be him. He wants to steal it'll be like a Robin to his, he's going to raise the next Galactus. That's the whole point. And then Galactus can
Probably by starting him
die.
out as a herald as well. Yeah.
Hey, Galactus isn't planning on going off to freaking Costa Rica or anything. He's dying. That's it. He's done.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
I want to Franklin Richards, little baby Franklin Richards on a surfboard as a herald.
Right.
But yeah, so basically they drop on the FTL near a black hole, and then so basically this Silver Surfer gets sucked into the black hole. She can't escape it. So, and my question is, we don't know much about black holes in the MCU, but from what we know from outside scientists and stuff, said, do you think it's possible for her to even get back out, even with the cosmic force, or do you think that's just you're just suspending your logic?
I
Well,
think-
okay.
Because that's what I do with a lot of Stan Lee stuff. There's no logic to any of this stuff.
The sensible thing would be to have the black hole be a wormhole and have two sides and have her get out the other side of it. But as far as like the power cosmic, it does possess the power to like warp space and so forth around itself. So if anything could escape the gravity well of a black hole, if we are, pulling the physics of superheroes into the mix here, assuming that the power cosmic can warp space, which is an established thing that it can do, it could disrupt or counter the gravity well of a black hole. The question of whether it would work outside of the event horizon and so forth is another matter, although I assume that the power cosmic has augmented Shala's physiology, hence why she's over. So my guess is the most that would happen to her, based on how the power cosmic tends to work in the comics and so forth, is she gets in the black hole and she's stuck there and she's annoyed at being stuck there. I don't think, for example, she would spaghettify, because I'm fairly certain that her body being impregnated with the power cosmic would be able to counter the actual gravitational force of the black hole.
Oh, imagine if you would have said that about Noran. He's been
I think
impregnated
it's
by
a complete different black hole there, although it's owned by the same company. So,
So my thing is, Galactus probably said, "Look, what are you doing over there? Get back to work."
yeah.
So like I said, I love the space part of the movie. The other thing I want to bring up though is Sue has been going before, I guess, the United Nations speaking and stuff.
Well, yeah, the
Here's the
Fantastic
thing, here's
Four
the
became
thing,
the
though.
world leaders in this universe.
Yeah. So here's the thing though, she's a woman in 1960s leading.
In a retro-futurist 1960s that very obviously has more advanced technology than our current day and age, my dude. I don't think
You think the technology would
the jet.
change the way men were back in the 60s, letting women.
Okay,
Well-
but men weren't actually. This is a whole nother issue entirely. But men weren't actually
Right.
the way Hollywood portrays men as being back then. There are different reasons why the behavior was the way it was. It has nothing to do with men are misogynist toward her. And
Okay.
hell, given that Sue has superhuman abilities, even the most backwards misogynist twat in the 1960s, even if we're keeping the gender woo, would just go, well, she's the exception to all the women aren't powerful enough rules because she categorically is powerful enough, being superhuman and shit.
Jay, say what you're going to say, then we're going to move on to another topic here.
Say what you want to say.
Jay?
Say what you Mr. Lucian.
Okay, well, all right, so...
Sorry, I got stuck in the comment section. So
no worries.
I was just saying, Dalton, it's my and dude, not my dude. Okay.
My and dude. There you go. Okay, it's a my and friends thing. You know, like Gilligan and the rest. It's a thing that we do. Okay. So anywho, one thing you brought up with the whole Sue thing that I guess we should talk about is the whole this movie is going to be woke up. No, sorry to disappoint you guys who was really looking forward to going after it this way. And by the way, if you wanted to, I guess you could find it and say it was woke. No.
Although to be fair to Gary and the Black Pills, the reason they thought that was because the stars and the director themselves were talking it up.
Oh yeah,
which makes me wonder if Disney is just that out of touch that they don't realize that is the equivalent of shooting themselves in the foot.
The thing is James Gunn and his brother went out and went, Superman's all about immigration.
Yeah, did the same thing.
Yeah, they did the same thing for some reason, and neither film is with it. Now, the complaint I heard is that Sue Storm's the most powerful, therefore it's woke. Read the comics.
Yeah, no,
this is not a new thing, guys.
She's always had the purest derivation of the power cosmic that gave them their powers. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So, and Sue doesn't even save the day. It's actually, if you those who didn't see it, it's actually Ghost Rider shows up, gives Galactus a penance stare, and he makes him show all his victims that he's killed.
Dude, we weren't going to go that deep into spoilers. We promise.
I mean, I wish that happened.
Dude, we could have milked that shit. Thank you.
Yeah, Dalton. Jeez, Dalton. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a shit joke, you see. So I was saving us all some time.
I don't criticize your
Here's
jokes.
a good one.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it's not there. But I did hear some with at the end, of course, it's Sue Storm who is using her force shields to push Galactus. Galactus is not sure-footed, by the way, when she hits him, and then she has the thing collapse a building into him to make sure that he's still not sure-footed. Now, you could say, okay, I'm Galactus, I'm fourth dimensional rather than 3-dimension, but it's not the woke thing that everybody is saying.
And by the way, it almost kills her and only doesn't because Franklin is involved.
Okay,
so
RDV.
I want to say there are some cons about this, and it isn't really negative. It's just that kind of plot holes. So Reed Richards was working on doing teleportation, and it sucked some power. So he figured, what if we just teleport the Earth to another universe that has a sun and all that stuff? The problem here is because he does not have a device in another universe to do that. So where would you even send the Earth to? It would even work.
Would it be in the middle of another? Oh, I'm sorry.
So the plan was basically they're going to build these little arches around the world, of course, and they have to save energy. So they said, guys, you have an 8 p.m. curfew, and you can't have any energy. We're going to turn the power off, to conserve everything. And of course, they're getting ready to start a couple days later. They're going to start this and try to start it up and do this. Silver Surfer comes in, she destroys it, prevents him from doing this. The biggest complaint a lot of people have with this is like, hey, she got there. Where are they getting all this time to build that stuff? And is Galactus just taking his sweet ass time because he's cocky?
No,
it's like
it took months they mention it in the middle. It took
Yeah.
months, but there. And by the way, why is it? It's a big ship.
I interpreted that as Galactus going, well, it's not as though they can do anything that'll hurt me
Yeah.
anyway, so why not give them...
So using this plan, it failed. So they're like, Reed's like, we have enough power for 37 seconds. We'll just teleport Galactus. We'll lure him with Franklin, get him in this little X marks the spot.
Yeah.
So this leads up basically them trying to lure in with the bait and switch, but Johnny, instead of taking the baby underground where he can't be scanned by Galactus, takes him to the Baxter building, leaves him with Herbie. And of course, Galactus realizes the bait and switch, and he stopped. And he's like, "I ain't stepping in this shit."
Well,
That's exactly the line.
Johnny is a bit dense, so it's not as though it's not as though he wouldn't do something like that.
This leads us up to what we're talking before. Sue is going to use her force fields to push Galactus because he's off kilter, and he's not really trying to fight at first, but then he does, grabs on a building. You get to see the Thing coming in, and basically he's going to help Sue by knocking down buildings. That
You see that in the preview where he's running through the pillars.
We do get a clobbering time here. Thank God. I was thought that we're going to get one, but we do.
And they didn't. It wasn't one of those things where all throughout the like a couple of times in the beginning, and then right at the end, Johnny. You see it in the previews. Say it. No, and then he just says it. And yeah.
So this leads to Sue. They got him at the very edge. He's going to push him into the portal. We're going to activate it. But and they're going to knock him into, but. So Johnny says, "Well, I tell my nephew I love him enough," and then at the last second he gets hit by the surfboard, and
he gets Rose Tico'd.
Yeah, and Silver Surfer basically pushes Galactus into the portal, and then it's done.
Well, because they established a relationship between her and Johnny, so she didn't want him to die, so presumably.
I wanted to bring that up. They made Johnny. He was still like he likes girls, and I'll even joke about him having the Silver Surfer talking to him. Like, oh, you make a lady.
That's another point where the movie creators almost derailed the film, talking about how Johnny's going to be multi-gender or something or other.
Which I just don't get it, because do they not know that shit is like a massive fuck you turn off? I
think they said something along. He's going to be a more sensitive. No, he was a guy.
They did the same thing. They did the same thing with Sue, talking her up as if she was going to be the leader and she's the real, backbone behind the Fantastic Four and this, that, and the other. No, she's still like the co-lead, just like she always is. And, she does people, Reed does the numbers, and everybody goes away happy. Johnny probably gets laid several orders of magnitude along the way, and everything's fine.
They did Johnny a little bit differently in this one, in the sense where Johnny... Just like in actually the 2005, where Johnny,
he's got a brain.
Surfer one. Johnny actually used his brain in this one. So Johnny, Reed had been basically doing these deep sea, or not CG, but deep space recording stuff, and he's all these records he puts it on because it's the 60s. So, and when Johnny heard her speak to him, on a surfboard, he recognized the language, so he went and listened to it. And he basically told, because she's like, he told Sue, no.
He was able to create a Rosetta Stone.
Yeah. So I'm going to decipher it myself. And he deciphered it, realized that she was her giving a warning to people. And he basically played it against her when she lured her into a trap to basically guilt trip her. And to basically help.
Which I mean, to be fair, makes sense, because, they always kind of hand wave this away, but as much of a playboy airhead he is by Fantastic Four standards, Johnny still qualifies as an astronaut. Same thing with Ben. Yeah, he's dumb muscle as pertains to the Four, but he was also intelligent enough to be an astronaut, because otherwise they wouldn't be doing the thing in the first place.
So Johnny was also, but here, Johnny was smart in that. But earlier when they first meet Galactus, he was stupid. He said, "You have 10 minutes of air if you use your flame powers in the spacesuit." And he uses it to go chase after and hit on the Silver Surfer.
He doesn't use it for anything but to chat up a chick.
Well, I mean, Johnny is still Johnny at the end of the day. As much as I just did defend him being smart because astronaut, he is still a playboy hound dog there. So
okay, between those of us who saw this movie, let's play a quick best, worst, and do you recommend it? And then we'll move on to Superman. RDV, best, worst, and do you recommend this?
The best part, I mean, I don't really have a scene. It's just more so the family being together
Okay.
and working as a team. There's no leader. They are Reed and Sue bickering back and forth, about using the baby as baits and stuff. But then she comes to realize that she supports them, like Mary Jane would do with Peter. So that they're actually in a loving marriage. The worst. There's no Debbie, the thing's ex-wife who leaves him, and there's no Alicia. There's just some random chick.
I gotta tell you though, it's Natasha Lyonne. If you saw Poker Face on, which I was like, holy crap, they made her pretty. And she's never particular. I mean, she's never been ugly, but she was really pretty in this.
It would have been great if she was Alicia and she was teaching.
But yeah, I was wondering, all you have to do is say the word Alicia, and it is 100%. Even if you don't blind her now, maybe she'd be. But I was a little disappointed in that. Okay, so
right.
what
would
you recommend this?
Actually, yeah, because I said this was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I went into it thinking like, hey, I'll watch it, whatever. If I don't watch it, don't watch it. And I was like, wow, this was a way better. I give it about an 8 out of 10.
All righty, Dalton, best part, worst part. Would you recommend it?
I don't know if I can have a best worst arrangement here, because something I will say for this movie that's not been true of the MCU in a very long time, it's totally consistent more or less all the way through. Which again, even movies I really liked, like Multiverse of Madness, have giant moments where they, break the story and the plot for the sake of jokes and stuff. So, like, insofar as that counts as a good thing, I guess you could say that is the good thing. The fact that there really weren't any particularly bad scenes or particularly good scenes. It was totally consistent all the way through. I do think it would have been more impactful if Franklin wasn't used as a Deus Ex Machina for his mom. I think it would have really stuck with people more if Reed now has to be a single father. And maybe it's just because we've done the reverse death or fake out death so many times at this point, but I think it would have resonated more if it did actually cost them something. Now, obviously, Franklin being Franklin, he can warp reality in basically any manner that he chooses, so it makes in-universe sense. I'm just saying, from like a dramatic payoff perspective, imagine Reed having to raise Franklin as a single father, and Ben and Johnny being the cool uncles for said single father, and so on. That it would have struck people more, I think.
I agree with you.
There is, yeah. You did touch on one of the scenes we didn't talk about. Yeah, was that basically she exerts herself for pushing Galactus, and she dies. Right.
Yeah.
They put the baby on the now still warm corpse of Sue, and the baby revives her. I didn't have a problem with that. Some people did, but there's one other scene that we didn't talk about. What is the dynamic between Ben and Johnny? It was great. And I don't know if that's your favorite scene and all, E, but that scene where they're like, you should really go tell Sue this, or go tell there, and like, no, I don't want to. And then Sue pops up on the bench, scares the crap out of the thing, and she's like, "Come on, we're late."
Yeah, I that was one of my favorites. I don't know if it's it's not my favorite scene, but it is one of my favorite because it is the relationship that Johnny and Ben have always had, and it's just a casual conversation. Hey, you want to go check up on? Why don't you go check up on Reed and Sue? Yeah, that's not going to happen. However, I will thank you for going to check up on Reed and Sue. Yeah, I'll do that right after I thank you for keeping going. You go check up. And they're just tossing it back and forth. And it's a very simple thing. This scene does not have to be there.
No, it doesn't have to.
It does establish their connection. It does establish them
This
being
movie
friends.
really felt like the 1960s Fantastic Four.
Yeah, it's
Felt
by
like
the way,
Stanley
did you
Kirby.
notice that I love this futuristic aesthetic. Did you notice that the Fantastic Four are not the only ones that had flying cars?
Yes, the cops had them
The
too.
cops had them too. That means that the Fantastic Four has been sharing their technology. It's not like the normal MCU where it's like, hey, I invented this wonderful
Well,
thing.
it makes sense
You-
because remember Tony Stark did that with the prisons, giving them the gun and all that stuff.
Yep.
You know?
So yeah, it's pretty good. My favorite scene, I gotta point to the spaceship. It was the most Kirby thing that I've ever seen in an MCU. And the only thing that it could have made it more Kirby-ish is if it was bright and colorful. It didn't need to be. The way they introduced Galactus was absolutely perfect, but it was so Kirby-ish. I loved it. That
Anything else?
and the dialogue, you can absolutely. If you watch, we talk about how good Pedro Pascal was as Mr. Fantastic. If you watch him, this wasn't a case of everybody else is just like in awe of what they're doing and seeing. Pedro Pascal, he managed to look knowing. It's like they had no idea what they were up against. And then as soon as Pedro Pascal's Mr. Fantastic sees Galactus, he knows exactly what he's up against. And he knows there's nothing they can do to defeat him. And that is one of the
Yeah, we're
greatest.
fighting a deity. This is bad.
Yeah, that was and that was good.
Well, he
All
needs
right.
he needs his lever.
The worst scene is I've got a plan. I'm going to teleport the planet into another solar system where I don't know if there's another planet there. Does it have a sun that can sustain life? There's so many the scientists now with our planet say if you move our planet away 1 mile from our sun, it can cause all sorts of
Then it clusterfucks basically.
So also, here's the thing though. Does it have a moon? They can because it needs the moon in order to
Because
basically.
tides.
Yeah.
But
The correct course of action would have been just to move the entire solar system, but obviously they didn't.
But
it was already hard enough to
when they got
by
Galactus down.
moving the planet. I can't imagine how they could have done move the entire solar system.
And if you guys haven't been able to understand yet, yes, I highly recommend the movie.
you need
All
it.
right.
Is that the other plan with the teleporting thing? You need to have the device on the other the basic teleport too. They only have the device on Earth. Because
Yeah,
remember, he showed the egg. He had one here, one the other way. That's how he was able to teleport it. So
that's true. That is true. Yeah.
It was a half baked plan.
Alrighty. That being said, there's another movie. There's actually two I wanted to talk about, but we burned through the first one so quickly. Did you see Batman Ninja?
No, I don't watch Elseworld Batman.
Did you see the Batman Ninja, Dominic or Jay?
I did, but not all of it.
The same way. Now, did you not watch it all because you just didn't have time, or like me, you were like, I'm done?
Well, it was more like the time as well as it could be fun. It could be great even. Yet there are a lot of aspects of it that holds it back from being great.
Yeah. I was the same way. I was like, you know what? I don't need to. I'm not feeling it. Sometimes I'll put on a movie and I just don't feel it, but later I'll watch it and I'll be able to watch it all the way through.
I just feel like we're getting too many Elseworlds Batmans. If we go back to actually having a Batman.
Well, I mean, the next one is the Aztec version.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Although everyone is roasting the heck out of that one because that one like just reeks of historical revisionism.
But also, unless they're planning on doing some kind of multiverse event of various Batman, why do so many Elseworld stories first off? And if you're gonna do Elseworld stories, why not let them focus on other characters? Why is it only the Batman involved?
Well,
I wouldn't mind. go on ahead, Dominic, and then RDV, and then I'll say my piece, and then we'll move on.
Well, even back then, when DC does Elseworlds, exploring these different Earths within their multiverse, whereas it focuses on other heroes that make up the DC universe, not just the Trinity. I mean, we see in JLA the Nail, as well as as well as the Superman Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Even the most recent new entry of Gotham by Gaslight, where we see the formation of that Earth's Justice League.
I'll tell you what, I would not mind a TV show called Elseworlds, and let's just let it be there. All of the Elseworlds, do out the stories. I would love to see this kind of stuff.
Given your reaction to What If, I think you might be monkey's pawing yourself there.
I may just be, because you tell me you're going to do What If, I think it's a great idea. You do What If the way Marvel did What If, it sucks. It really does.
So,
but I would love a showcase. I would love a Showcase Presents or a House of Secrets, House of Mystery kind of show that has stories about different characters throughout the DC to introduce them. All righty, kids.
All right.
Let's move forward.
Okay, I don't get to talk. You said.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I did. RDV, say your piece.
Wait a minute.
Well, Dominic,
say your piece, and then we're going to talk.
I'm going to ask
talk
Dominic first.
Superman.
Were you done, or did they cut you off? I'm going to make sure. I don't want to talk over you, because I want to make sure you got your full sentence in.
No, don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry. You didn't. Don't worry. You didn't cut me off. But I will say, even though I didn't watch the new Fantastic Four movie line, nor do I plan to use just on principle. But I will say my quick piece after you say yours.
Okay. Well, I just want to say, as far as the Elseworld stuff, I do agree. We didn't have other heroes. Look what they're doing right now. Batman by Gotham by Gaslight, Kryptonian Age. They're doing a Justice League, and after this series is done, put that in freaking animation and do the good animation. Don't give us the crappy art. I love that kind of when they actually have a Justice League that. I mean, I'll take a Justice League Western, and that's basically what the Gotham by Gaslight is. It's been fun, steampunk, all that stuff. So give me more of that,
Yeah.
or do what he said.
Yes.
Give me a Jonah Hex animated freaking series, bro.
Please.
Get Bruce Timm and Paul Dini writing. You know?
Yes.
Assuming you could get the two of them to agree to now, given that they had their falling out years ago.
If we can't get that, we'll get Ty Templeton.
Wait. Who did Dini have a falling out with?
Bruce Timm.
Paul Dini and Bruce.
Really?
Paul Dini and Bruce Timm had a whole tiff. That's why they stopped working together, and that's also why Bruce Timm went into his edgelord phase.
Hey, it's okay though. Paul Dini continued on doing the Batman Adventures.
Yeah, they need.
His wife looks exactly like Zatanna, because he always had a crush on Zatanna, and he married a woman who looks is a dead ringer for her.
Apparently, one of the things that made the DC animated universe that we grew up on as good as it was Paul Dini and Bruce Timm were able to balance each other out without.
Well, it wasn't just those two. There were a lot of.
Well, yeah, obviously it was a whole bunch, but
equally as good as Paul Dini.
Yeah. But as a general rule, it seems like we lucked out that they were able to balance each other out for as long as they were able to.
Honestly, every episode directed by Butch Lucic was superior, in my opinion. Just saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't attach.
I'd have to go through the episodes individually and judge for that.
By the way, Jim is saying Batman Ninja is completely okay, which means it's better than the Doom Came to Gotham.
The Doom Came to Gotham, I did not like the ending because it was very tragic ending.
I did like the Doom that came to Gotham better than Batman Ninja, but hey, that is what makes horse racing.
But no, yeah, I would not bring Bruce Timm. I take it back now because I remember he did that horrible woke one recently with Cape Crusader.
I didn't get a chance yet to watch Doom That Came to Gotham. It looked good in the trailers. Are you telling me that it wasn't good?
Well, I don't like the ending. The ending's kind of sad, depressing.
This is the Batman annual. They did a whole bunch of Elseworld annuals one year where every comic book that was being published had an annual that was an Elseworld story.
I mean, you can bring in other heroes too. Like, let's bring back in the Dan Blue Beetle story they did. Remember they did that in
Oh yeah, that was good.
that was 60
That
style
was-
still.
That was so
Dan Garrett?
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mystery Dial H for Hero. Okay.
Under the Red Hood is one of my favorite ones. The music, everything in that.
Yeah,
But
that
even
was really
the
dumb.
Dark Knight Returns with the Frank Miller ones, that has great music too.
Anyway, on to the second main event.
Alrighty. Yeah. Now, who here saw Superman?
Me,
I did.
saw it before all y'all.
I think
Okay.
I feel like everybody did.
Dom,
Except for
did you
Dominic.
see Superman?
No, I've not seen it either.
Are you
Dominic,
not
you're on the
seeing,
long live stream. We're just doing spoilers for you.
I know, right? Did you not
I
see it
don't
out
mind.
of principle, or
Just have
Is
no
it-
time.
yeah? Because you mentioned something about principle. You're not seeing Fantastic Four out of principle. What principle is that, by the way? Just curious.
Yeah, but really, I don't want to give Marvel Studios and by essentially Disneyland any of my money on what until they clean up their acts. But also that applies to Marvel Comics as well.
All right.
But as for Superman, man, well, I just didn't have time.
Okay. Sorry
Well,
for
hey.
what's about to happen.
So Dominic,
hey, wait a minute. First
What's
off, I don't mind spoilers.
Okay.
I'm just going to point out, Dominic, you seem like the guy who waits till he hits a $5 bin in Walmart.
That's not a bad. That's not
That's
a bad.
not. I mean, what's so wrong about that, man?
There's not a bad.
Well,
guy.
you got to wait 4 years.
I do that occasionally. Just actually, I went to Walmart and I was going to pick up some dinner, and it was like, okay, yeah, this will be fine. And then I walked by the bin, and there's a Peanuts collection with Snoopy Come Home, A Boy Named Charlie Brown, Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown, and Bon Voyage. And I was like, well, it looks like we're having ramen and hamburger tonight.
I just want to quickly point out that I can admit that there are pros and cons of both these movies we're talking about.
Yeah, that's pretty much like what I gathered as well.
Because I know some fanboys cause it was the greatest Superman movie ever.
Yeah, no, screw that
No.
noise.
There's still the 1978.
Yeah,
There's still
And while we're being controversial, Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder aside, the 78 Superman movie does not hold up.
I know we've been over this, but
I
let's
can't
just
talk
talk
about
about
anymore. He's out of my life.
If you knock on Superman 2, I'm
What?
flying out to Pennsylvania right now. We're
This
gonna
isn't even my working mic anymore.
leave
but
Superman
what?
2 alone, Dalton. Leave him alone.
Honest
Superman
hell, did you just
Superman
say?
2 was better than the 78 one.
Thank
It's
you.
still I will say Terrence Stamp's Zod is a much better villain than Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor.
Oh, agreed.
I disagree.
Because he actually seems threatening for 5 minutes,
And
unlike
there were three- no,
Gene
and there were
Hackman,
three
who
of
can't
them. There
Get
wasn't
it.
one, there were three.
Triggered.
Made it real formidable.
Can I just say this?
What's up?
The Donner Superman could turn back time. He didn't need no freaking Justice Gang.
I know, right? No. Okay. Well. Here's something controversial. I agree. I like Superman 2 better than I do the original. That being said, I do think the first movie was a better directed film. It's kind of funny. I'm actually making lists right now. I'm going to be doing some videos, and I've been going over.
you liked it from a technical aspect, but it's not as good.
Here's
from
the thing. Here's the thing. I'm making a list of my favorite films. Okay, this is not necessarily the best films. Like in 1994, we had some awesome movies. One of the best movies of the year was Schindler's List. It is a far, far better movie than my favorite films that actually make its way into the DVD player. I love Schindler's List, and maybe occasionally I'll put it on just to watch the craftsmanship.
But
And
not
that's
when I
how I
want to
feel-
enjoy things.
That's how I feel about Superman 1 and Superman 2. I could watch either one of them at a drop of a hat, but I've always found Superman 2 to be a little bit more entertaining because of the fight at the end and the fact that for the longest time before I actually realized what movie making was, how the hell did they throw that bus? More to the point, how did they throw that bus into Christopher Reeve? Because he's standing there, he gets hit by a bus. You know, and then of course later I find out how they did it, but that movie just amazed me. You're never. I don't. It's kind of like the way that even if somebody outsells the Beatles, they're never going to be bigger than the Beatles. I don't care what kind of performance any actor does. Yeah. Nobody's going to be Superman the way Christopher Reeve was Superman.
You know, I gotta say though, I love Christopher Reeve as Superman. I understand that that drunken Supergirl's horse boyfriend is the one that took him out.
Hey, horse boyfriend. Never mind. Yeah,
but let's actually segue back into 2025 version.
Okay, back to 2025.
Too soon.
Alrighty, so it was 30 years ago. Okay, so here's something right off since you mentioned it. If you read Superwoman or Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow,
Tom King.
One, it's True Grit. They are remaking True Grit with Supergirl. That's it. I even confronted Tom King at a convention and said, "You just rewrote True Grit." And he kind of smiled. And he goes, "Yeah." Here's another thing. She is drunk when the girl comes in to hire her to capture the alien that killed her father, which is basically the plot of True Grit. So they tried to establish Supergirl as a drunken party girl. Okay, fine. I get it. You need that for the story you're going to tell. What I don't understand, and we brought up Crypto before, is she appears at the end. Oh, my dog. Come here, Crypto. Fuck you. Where's Streaky? That's the problem I have with it.
I never read that piece of crap comic book, but I want to know, does she throw a kid in the water because he can't swim and then throw a woman in there too?
I don't remember that.
Let me say this about Kara. I'm not a big fan of this version of her. However, it's pretty obvious they're setting up a huge redemption arc for her.
She's teenage.
I can get on board with that. So
yes, my only complaint is that she's not wearing the white T-shirt and.
I think it's a mistake to introduce Supergirl immediately following Superman. I would have waited until the end of his trilogy to introduce Kara. Being that as it may, I have major issues with Superman 2025.
We don't know when her actual movie's coming out. You know, there's not a specific date yet, as far as I know.
Supposedly it comes out in like a year and a half.
Hold on just a sec. Let's get the chat involved here. I may have liked Doom better, but if I hadn't read the book multiple times before I even knew it was going to be the animated Cthulhu stuff. It's awesome. And the Mouth of Madness, says Dark Guy, was probably the closest we'll ever get to a proper Lovecraft. Oh, they're talking with each other.
Do you read Sutter Kane? What the heck? Just randomly.
And Jim is saying, have fun with the rest of the stream. I want to know absolutely nothing about the Superman movie. That's a good way to go in.
Fair enough.
Let's see. That part that always best, so I can't get this, is how he. Okay, hold on.
You know, I thought about just giving you the wrong spoilers. So when you actually go in to watch it,
I think Lex Luthor getting ragdolled like Loki was a dumb choice. It took me out of the Okay, let's talk about the big problem in the movie. Crypto sucked.
Crypto, one of the.
You and I will disagree on what the worst part of this movie is, because the worst part of this movie was the main plot.
Okay, we'll get to that in just a second. Dominic, what did you just say?
Well, I'm gonna bring up, that's actually one of the critiques people had with this movie, that there's a lot of redeeming qualities to it, yet the flaws are too glaring to not be noticed. You know, besides the plot, there's also the issue with the tone. So
not to cut you off, Dom, but here in short is the problem. James Gunn apparently had several completely contradicting ideas about how to do Superman, and instead of deciding on one and going with it, He just decided, screw it, I will throw them all in a blender and do all of them,
What's wrong
and
with
that
an
will result in none of the plot threads
Okay,
he
tell me
tries to
what's
set
wrong
up
with that.
actually
Tell me why
having
that's
enough
wrong.
time to actually expand on itself or make any meaningful contribution to the movie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you needed a War and Peace version of Superman to enjoy
No,
it.
no,
Hold on. Can I say something? I agree. I can agree with Dalton. It's the same thing people shit on Batman vs Superman. 14 different freaking comic books, all world in one.
Oh, to bring that,
Jay,
it did not-
let me explain.
And no.
Okay, hold on, Jay.
Not my turn.
Jay,
Fine.
okay, I'll tell you what. Dalton, you finish, then it's going to be Jay's turn. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, we're not going to insult each other because of our opinions.
No,
on
no, under no circumstances. But
Gentlemen, after that, can we go back to Dominic, who originally was cut off?
will I?
Dominic, all right, Dalton.
Okay. If you paid attention to what I just said, Jay, what I just said was the issue wasn't that there were multiple ideas going, it's that several of those ideas flat out contradicted each other, and yet the movie needs us to let them coexist.
How does it contradict each other?
That is my biggest issue. It's not that the movie is busy. I did see people criticizing this movie for being busy. Being busy isn't the problem. The problem is that it's doing 500 different contradictory things and not giving any of them enough room to expand out and actually have any substance to it.
All right, I'm gonna give you the floor again here in just 10 seconds. I need you to explain to me how it is contradictory, please, in detail, please.
We will be here for 2 hours.
No,
Jay.
Okay, just
give me a
claim
clip.
one
Give me a
thing
clip.
because it is a vague accusation of the movie. So be a
The
little
the worst aspect of the I will hyper focus then on what I consider the worst aspect of this movie to be, because otherwise we will be here for 3 hours, and even I get sick of hearing my own voice for that long.
What? No.
But the number one biggest problem with this movie, although it occurs in like 3 different ways, the number one worst problem with this movie is the main plot doesn't work. I can buy that Luthor would try to demoralize Superman with my social media and my hit pieces, but I cannot accept that working because Superman should not give a damn about the fucking media. And what's more, I will make one small change to this movie and it will fix like 80% of the problems with it. Instead of having Clark be interviewed by Lois, his girlfriend and co-worker, and instead of having her ask things a reasonable journalist would ask, and then have Clark throw a tantrum about them, what you could have done, same plot, same everything, what you could have done is sub Lois in for Livewire and have her actually be adversarial with him. Then when Clark breaks down and throws a tantrum, it doesn't hurt his hurt his character as much as literally the most sympathetic journalist
he wasn't throwing a tantrum.
He was throwing.
He was passionate about how he cares about people.
Okay, but Jay, the reason
wrap it up and we'll move to Jay and then we'll move back to Dom. Dom, sorry about getting cut off.
The reason it bothers me is because, like I was just saying, if it was Livewire and she was actually being adversarial with him and he reacted like that I could understand. But Clark, honey, you're getting interviewed by literally the single most sympathetic journalist you could possibly ever be interviewed by, and she's just asking you basic shit.
Bullshit. She's always a little hard.
Okay, hold on, Jay, your time's coming in just a touch.
Yeah. If this is how you react, Clark, when your own girlfriend and coworker is asking you basic bitch shit, God fucking forbid you focus on when journalists inevitably get full hit piece mode. Because I mean, we people sitting here have been slandered and lambasted by the media when they're well and truly in "we want to hit piece this motherfucker" mode. If Clark reacts that way to Lois basically just doing her due diligence, then the second he gets an actual fucking rewriting Ripley style hit piece, he's gonna go full Homelander because he can't. Because if he's that thin-skinned about Lois asking him basic questions, God forbid he reacts to an actual hit piece when the mainstream media does what they inevitably do.
All right, let's move to Jay. Jay, you say your piece.
First off, how do you know this won't prepare him for bigger interviews in the future? I think that's a good practice for him. And two, Dalton, I consider you super smart. And I've known a lot of guys like you who are super smart. And I've seen you guys like you overthink yourselves out of everything. And my friend, I'm being respectful here. I think you're way, way overthinking it. Way.
Are you calling him Reed Richards?
Okay, well,
right.
being RDV's quip as it may, it was funny. Well done.
Okay.
So I don't
Jay's
think
turn to
so.
talk, Dalton.
Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
No, that's it. That was
Okay.
all I
Dominic.
saw,
Okay.
I saw that it was a private conversation interview where it was between the person he loves most in the whole world about a subject that he was completely passionate about. It showed the humanity in him. This is what you guys are missing. You guys want to make a big deal that he wasn't stoic and, silver Bronze Age style. He's not. This version of Superman is more based on, it's an amalgam, but its foundation is post-crisis.
You make points and then I don't get to respond. It annoys me.
I had to finish. That's what you do too. And you do it worse than I do. I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay.
Dominic, are you there?
Dominic, your turn.
Oh no, don't worry. Let these guys finish their piece, and then I'll continue where I left off.
Alrighty.
They're gonna go back and forth the next hour. So.
Okay, Jay, let Dalton respond, but yes,
Okay.
we do need to move on here. So
I could buy your interpretation of things, Jay, if it were a one-off. The problem is a huge part of this movie revolves around Clark getting demoralized by Lex Luthor basically farming Twitter bots. And in the context of that, his argument with Lois makes Lex look like he's right. And this is what I was referring to earlier when I said I can buy Luthor thinking that would get to Superman because Luthor doesn't understand anything about Clark's moral compass or the way Clark thinks. But having Luthor do that and have it work means that Luthor is right. He is too thin-skinned to be a public figure, and we should be extremely wary of him if he's going to react that emotionally to, again, the most sympathetic journalist he will ever be interviewed by ever, and basically just doing her due diligence. When we all know, and maybe this is my personal experience getting in the way here, but I think that James Gunn being a little bit too much of a normie to actually portray the mainstream media being as vindictive as we all know they can be, I think that was a problem. Because again, if you subbed Lois in for Livewire and you had her actually slandering and belittling and being miserable to him, and then Clark reacted that way, that's perfectly understandable. And what's more, you could have tied the two plots together better if it was Livewire because you would have her on Lex's payroll. But the way it's set up now is Luthor being right about Superman caring too much about public opinion and basically being a softcore Homelander, which is a problem. And then you throw in, he's going to get interviewed by the most sympathetic interviewer he could possibly be interviewed and he's going to have an emotional breakdown over it.
All right, so I'm going to say one thing and then I'm going to go to the chat. Lois was interviewing him as if she was one of the more harsher critics because she knew that was what he was going to do. That was actually set up in that scene.
I didn't see that as her being harsh.
It was when they were talking about it. And she said, "You really want to do an interview?" It was a challenge because she knew. So while it was a private conversation, she was talking to him as if she were actually doing an
but James Gunn didn't write her as an adversarial journalist. She wasn't. She was a girlfriend acting adversary. He wrote her as asking questions that any reasonable journalist with integrity would have asked. The correct thing to do, again, here, if you really want to make this movie about cancel culture, which James Gunn has admitted that he wanted it to be about cancel culture, have Livewire, instead of Lois, have her actually behaving like the dirty smear merchant that the media can be, have her be on Lex's payroll, and most importantly, have Luthor be wrong about Superman giving a shit like Homelander about the public perception of him.
I'm going to get a couple of comments because we've been ignoring the chat, and then I'll go to Dalton. I'm not Dalton, the other Dalton. Dominic, sorry. Sorry, Dom. I swear
he does this to us all the time, folks.
I mean no disrespect, but I'm actually reading Dalton right here as Rhaegar's comment. What do you think about Lex being able to basically be like God, creating his own pocket universe, establishing the plot? Do you see that problem with that? I'm going to answer that first. No, because that's Silver Age Lex Luthor. One of the things I was most excited about is this movie gave us Silver Age Lex Luthor, and I was jazzed as hell about that. Anyway.
No, Jay, I don't want a Livewire movie. I wanted her to serve the function that she's supposed to serve instead of trying to convince me.
Time.
That,
all right. Well, next up, we have. Okay, go ahead.
The whole Livewire situation. It pisses me off. People are comparing this to basically the Superman Adventures. If the Superman Adventures, they would have wanted Dalton's plot.
Okay. Rhaegar saying, I take that back. Actually, one of the biggest issues in the movie, aside from what was their Rosetta Stone like reference translating Kryptonian. I know, right? At least in the Fantastic Four, Johnny heard a phrase that had been translated, and so he knew what the phrase was in both languages.
He was able to extrapolate from it.
And he was able to use that to create a Rosetta Stone that allowed him to decipher the Silver Surfer's messages. This one, it's just, I'm Lex Luthor, motherfucker. It's like, I am the Batman kind of thing. Okay, Dominic, finally, please, sir, tell us everything you've heard of and any kind of thought that you have gained, because I'm sure, even if you haven't seen the movie, you've seen clips galore.
Well, there's that as well as reading the premise. There's like a movie. Well, I'll say, like, besides like issues with the plot as well as the tonal inconsistencies, which is tied to like Gunn wanting to adapt like a multitude of not just like Superman action comic stories, but also like Justice League stories as well. Well, because he's a founding member. But I remember like when I watched the trailer for the new Superman movie, as well as from what I've gathered, like from the premise, as well as from what people have said like through the reviews, is that that's actually what few feel like didn't bring up. There's a reason why Lois asked Clark those questions is she's pretending as one of like the harsh critics, whereas like towards Clark.
She wasn't harsh enough. If she was pretending to be a harsher critic than she was, then James Gunn failed to portray a journalist in well and truly I want to hit peace mode.
You established your thought there, Dom.
Yeah, which makes sense. Which makes sense. Since the usage of Livewire that could have been an improvement, but Lois doing that, it would have actually, it could have been like handled. It could have been handled differently, like if she was like in the role, or like of the harsh critic, of the harsh critic side towards Clark, because really in the movie like the reason why James Gunn like made the way what he did is they want to showcase that Superman, like he is the beacon of light, beacon of hope, if you will. Well, because he wants to like, remind people that kindness should not be taken like as a weakness, but it actually should empower people and encourage them, and they want to be better instead of needlessly drenching themselves like in cynicism.
Okay.
As for Lex, like Nicholas Holt, well, he makes the best of what he has. As Luthor, I can see him, yeah, but he still needs to like grow into that role.
Yeah, he's not a good Luthor either. Is the thing.
I disagree, but okay. I mean,
Well,
that's
okay.
what. Like, once again,
Okay,
that's
let
what makes horse racing.
let me give context what I mean when I say he's not a good Lex Luthor. He's not what I grew up with as Lex Luthor being a serious puppet master.
So who are you?
Somebody like Clancy Brown
Okay.
in
Like the
Superman the Animated
JLA.
Series and so on. Somebody like Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville. That's who I want Luthor to be, because that's a Lex that can actually act as a foil to Superman.
Okay.
With this Lex leaning more in a Gene Hackman word direction and being more of a comedic joke character, either they should have gone all the way with it, which it would have helped if they, had Lex be wrong about Superman's motives instead of proven correct because stupid. But yeah, if they wanted to make Lex a comedic character, then he should have been the butt of every joke. But given they at least try to have him be a serious threat every now and again in this movie, he's far too similar to a Gene Hackman than to a Clancy Brown or to a Michael Rosenbaum, who actually could have been the serious puppet master who's pulling things behind the scenes.
Oh, go on ahead, Dom.
Well, I like to say Holt Luthor is terrible. Well, but we'll say what helped it is like look, we know like James Gunn, that he is like a genuine comic book nerd. However, like how he handles characters, even the obscure ones, is a mixed bag, which would rub people the wrong way. Well, I will say like for this like new live action like Luthor, it could have been a mix of not just Silver Age Lex, but also post Crisis Lex, during Jeff Johns Superman Secret Origins, where the mad scientist aspect has been brought back and it blends smoothly with the businessman.
Okay. I mentioned something about now. First of all, I loved this film. I did. I liked it a hell of a lot more than Dalton. But you know what? That's just par for the course between the two of us about films.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I did mention though is my worst part of Superman was the dog, and here's why. Somebody mentioned Lex Luthor getting ragdolled, and it was a moment of it was kind of the Hulk thing, where he's there's in the middle of a speech and just yeet, and then slam around. Lex is dead. We saw in the beginning of the movie, Superman just got his butt kicked. Here comes Krypto, and he's bouncing on him, and he's oof, 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 oof.
Yeah, consistent power scaling would have helped.
And Krypto bouncing around hurt Superman. So Lex Luthor's dead. When Krypto crashes into him and he ragdolls him, you're done. That's it. Which made me think, holy crap, they need to kill Krypto. or they need to permanently keep him he can never leave the Fortress of Solitude until he's trained. Because imagine a kid's playing with a ball. Here comes Crypto. That kid's dead. You know, I mean, they
effed around with the power scaling.
Let me finish my thought. Okay. But the whole thing is he wanted to put in this kind of dog because, once upon a time I had a dog and he acted just like this. But yeah, that's your dog. That's not Crypto. He didn't do a self-insert. He inserted his dog, and he made possibly the most dangerous character in this film. Ultraman was less danger than Crypto because Ultraman was on a leash. Crypto never was. That, to me, was the big danger of the movie because all you had to do, oh my gosh, I see a squirrel. Let me chase through this house to get him.
Yeah.
You know, he's just,
Chip.
Much like Superman himself, Crypto has to be a good character in order for things not to get very apocalyptic very, very quickly.
Yeah. Now, I did love the film. I really do. I've seen it 3 times already. And I normally don't do that. I don't see movies multiple times in theaters. I just don't do it. This one and Fantastic Four really hit my geek button. I gotta say, go on ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was just say a lot of stuff here I did like. I liked the Justice Gang. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, you're over cramming. No, because I'm smart enough to fucking follow things. You know. But you know, that's a bad way of saying. That's like saying, you know, if you didn't like it, you're dumb. No, it's just that a movie's really got to be cluttered with a lot of different plot points and stuff going on that make me go, I mean, I liked seeing. Finally, we saw a Green Lantern, Nathan Fillion.
Not the right one, but you know.
I know, right?
Guy Gardner, Superman's father.
I did think that when they were in the Hall of Justice, I was thinking, oh, wow, okay, we're going to see a few more heroes in the background and so forth. No, there was still just the 3 of them. And when Lois Lane is in the Hall of Justice, I wanted one line. When she gets mad and she's yelling, I just wanted, and this is too much space for 3 people, because that's all I thought in the thing. This movie, in my opinion, was a heck of a lot of fun. I liked Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. I liked what his name, Corn Sweat. I liked him as Superman. Lois Lane was fine. I liked Jimmy Olsen because he was the competent Silver Age, and of course the one we got in the miniseries here, kind of Jimmy Olsen. Remember, Jimmy Olsen was a superhero and a member of the Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah, but he wasn't black. That's racist.
I know. Didn't they get the memo? He's redhead. Yeah.
Well, also, him and Kara Supergirl, it did become a couple in the comics for a while.
Oh, did you guys see? There's a black guy in Lex Luthor's little thing, his control room, right? And they announce that his name's Otis. Okay, you need it in movies. If you have Lex Luthor, you have to have Otis. Yeah, it shows that his last name was Berg.
And the other one was in there too. The one that Mercy was in there, I think was there too.
Tessmacher was the girlfriend, Miss Tessmacher.
Yeah, yes, but
the engineer. I
thought Mercy Graves was in there too. She was one of those helping him. But,
yeah,
I would have liked to have seen Mercy, but yeah, Mercy wasn't in here.
All right, can I give my take on the movie?
I got that. Yeah, RDV, by all means, tell us what you thought real quick, and yeah.
So I had issues with the movie. I'm not gonna say it's a horrible movie, but I'm not gonna say it's a great movie either. I'd say it's on par with Shazam for me. You know, Black Adam, I liked them. The biggest problem for me is it was so weird, kind of jarring, jumping into a middle of a story. Now, as I say, I'm glad they skipped the origins.
Yeah.
But I would have rather had him just first becoming Superman. Arriving at the Daily Planet, just like we had with Christopher Reeve, where he's already Superman. He doesn't have to learn how to fly like a Man of Steel. I didn't need that, the jumping and all stuff. I would have loved to establish him meeting Lex Luthor, the guy who's already in control of everything. and here comes this Superman, and he's threatening. He feels threatened. Establish why he hates him, not just where you're supposed to, if you're a normie and you've never watched anything Superman, you're coming into this, you're like, why does he hate him so much? What did he do?
Whereas those of us that grew up on the DC animated universe and Smallville, we know exactly why, because
I read the comics.
I agree.
Well,
Post crisis stuff. I love that. The fact that he's in this movie, he's talking to his parents, getting advice and stuff of that. I don't like the way they cast him as hillbillies, though. That was kind of weird. Because
it's a Hollywood movie trying to talk about Middle America. Of course, they were going to do that. The
reason I say hillbillies is because we had the hot Diane. Was it Diane Lane as his mom?
Diane Lane is hot. Yes.
And then also in Lois and Clark, the Adventures of Superman, that one, we had the parents actually look normal. They didn't look,
Well, they are supposed to be country, so I don't mind them going country, but Kevin Costner was country.
Yeah.
But and look, I like both of the actors, by the way, that played Mom and Pa Kent in this movie are good in other things. I've seen them in other things.
I just kept thinking that the
writing.
I just kept thinking his father looked more like Otis.
Yeah.
It's the writing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I would have loved to establish Lex Luthor basically why he hates Superman, whole thing, and Superman basically being like Lex every time he gets away with it, with this, I would have loved that the animated series.
That's another.
But going into the rest of the movie though, you had, like I said, I did not like the Justice Gang. They didn't bother to flesh them out, so they just became the JSA in the Black Adam movie. Hawker was pretty bland. Yeah,
I knew you would trigger him. I knew it when you said that.
I think the JSA was much better handled than the Justice Gang was here. You mentioned Black Adam, and I find it absolutely hilarious because I remember when Black Adam came out and everyone and their dog was shitting on it, and they were like, "Whoa, James Gunn is gonna know how to do it so much better than this," and I'm like, if you actually look at the movies we were presented with, they are staggeringly similar.
But the biggest
swap Waller and her prison in Black Adam for Lex and his dimensional fuckwittery prison, and you basically wind up with it essentially being the same movie.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the rest of the movie go, for me, it suffers the one thing that James Gunn can't help him do. He has to ruin a serious moment by making a joke. Now obviously, there's one scene we talked about on Comics Division, where Lois and Clark are talking, and then the Justice League or Justice Gang are fighting against this giant space monster in the background. Yeah. It totally derails the serious conversation they have. It's cool as a background thing, but I'm waiting for somebody you see Guy Gardner get smashed against one. Oh, sorry guys.
And as somebody
I didn't feel it. I thought it was fine.
Yeah. And as somebody who likes James Gunn's way of doing things a lot, I still think that Suicide Squad 2 is probably the best movie in the entire DCEU proper. Yeah. As somebody who likes the way that James Gunn does things, even I was looking at this movie this is his worst movie since the first Scooby-Doo movie that he did.
I want to say though, I like his Guardians of the Galaxy movies, but he's becoming the MCU campy humor in every movie he does. Everything he does, it's the same humor.
Well, that, but also, and like I said, I think this is his worst. Again, I like the way James Gunn does things. We are very similar in terms of our interest in weird, gold, silver age nonsense. But this movie was so poorly written for the humor, especially, because that's the difference. It works in Guardians because those are good jokes, and it makes sense for the personality of the characters involved. And I do think that part of the reason the Justice Gang was here wasn't just because he wanted it to be a lived-in universe. It was so he could still write his, team-up movie with a bunch of assholes while also it still technically being a Superman movie.
But
I was worried that would happen, and and to be fair, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but I do think it still happened where he needed a team-up movie for his normal setup to work, and so he was like, I will give all those normal, lovable asshole team dynamics to the Justice Gang, and then also Superman is here.
But
He actually once said that he would never do a Superman movie because
Yes, because he doesn't understand the character, and I maintain that is the biggest.
Finish this thought here.
Yeah,
That is.
I don't
Go
want to
ahead,
seem like I hate the movie because I said there's a lot. I talk about negative. The pros I did like there and stuff. I did like the Fortress of Solitude. I thought that was great. Even though I don't necessarily think that he needs to have them to use a magnifying glass to basically use Elson to heal him, and the pain thing. Because in other things, he basically the son he didn't need the pain whatsoever. The bones cracking, snapping there. That was him trying to make it more realistic. It's very and more drama to the stuff. The other things I did like. I did like Lois. I thought Mr. Terrific outshined everybody else in the whole entire freaking movie. Metamorpho is Victor Zsasz in a freaking Metamorpho suit. That's all it was. He was plain Jane. but the monkeys on the keyboard, I laughed at that because that's freaking Silver Age crap. I
was fine with that because it was Silver Age crap.
And here's my thing. Remember we complained about She-Hulk making fun of the critics? If you were like, is this the same crap? Is James Gunn making fun of the people who are going to talk about that
definitely,
movie?
yeah.
It is doing the same thing. It's one of the reasons one of the reasons I disliked it was because.
Dom, what are you trying to say? Let Dom speak here, guys.
All right, I was going to finish my thought, but anyway.
No. Let Vigman.
Right.
Let Vigman finish, and then I'll follow up.
Yeah.
All right.
Just real quickly to wrap it up. I thought it was a decent movie. I give it a slightly a little less than Fantastic Four. I give it a 7 out of 10. Because there was things I didn't like and there was things I did like. Overall, I just hope if we do get a movie with Superman, it's called Superman, just have freaking Superman in there. I don't need all these side characters. I understand they wanted to throw the Authority character in there because they're tying the movie, but it sounds like that movie is being scrapped or pushed back indefinitely. But the whole thing, the biggest problem I had with this movie is the narrative about his parents say you're here to knock up babes, bro. And now,
pulling an Omni-Man or Brightburn.
I want to say, Mr. Terrific backing up saying, well, it's legit. I'm thinking like, why would it be legit? If you know this guy for 3 years, I would say the benefit of doubt. That's probably not true. We know Lex Luthor.
No. James Gunn confirmed it's real, and they're not changing it.
Yeah. So that was a big thing. A lot of people had, that kind of ruined it for me. But overall, like arching the ultimate part of the movie, I thought it did a good job. I don't think it was the best. Now, people shitting on Man of Steel or people praising Man of Steel or one or another, I think it was exactly the same quality as both of those movies. I don't think they had the dumb moments and they had their good moments. Now, people might feel like, well, I'm a Snyder fan. I like this. Or I'm a James Gunn fan. I look at it for someone who basically does like the animated adventures over everything else. And I say, it was okay.
One thing I would always...
Dominic, your turn.
You're right. Dom, your turn. Yes.
I think Dalton and Eden have their own show to talk about their own things.
Yeah.
I should start a channel.
We have a whole movie channel that we never used. This would have probably been applicable there.
Well, following on with Vigman's point, that's actually the scoring of it is actually rather consistent. Like giving pretty much like more or less giving the movie a 7 out of 10 because it actually sums up. Although, like, in spite of James Gunn's attempts, even though they're well intentioned, it was Superman 2025. It's turning out to be a frustrating mess because there is a lot of redeeming qualities like with the movie. Yet at the same time, Gunn cannot help himself of doing his usual shtick. And I don't think he understands the character. I'll just add that, but.
Well, which is
why people have concerns of him like being the head of this new cinematic DC universe.
Yeah,
he's better at being the outsider guy who does the off the wall shit and letting somebody else.
I think that would be perfect for him if he did do the Suicide Squad, Dial H for Hero or a side character.
It would be nice, but again, like know, like, but we know like James Gunn. Yes, he is a comic book fan. But however, like even like when he does obscure characters, how he portrays them, like will be like inaccurate to who he or she
He has
actually is, like from
Yeah.
the source
he
material.
has one mode that he can write in. That mode is a group of likable assholes. If he cannot, if he can do almost any character as long as he can fit them somehow into the likable asshole mode. That's part of the reason the Justice Gang was here, because he knew well enough to know he couldn't make Superman a likable asshole, because Superman just is not an asshole. It is not in him to be an asshole ever. And
Much
that's part of the reason I think the Justice Gang was here, so that James could still get his I need a group of likable assholes to center on the movie, or else I don't know what I'm doing thing.
Can I say one thing?
even though like the Justice League from the source material, much like the Guardians of the Galaxy from the comics, they're not likable a-holes, and that's pretty much like the double-edged sword that he left behind when he did like the live action adaptation of Guardians of the Galaxy, because
Yeah.
that bled over into the comics, and it actually hurt for like the source material of Guardians like in the long run.
Ironically, this
Hold on,
is
RDV wanted to say something. What
Sorry.
Can I
was
say
Yeah,
one
go.
thing? Since apparently age doesn't matter with Guy Gardner, I would just throw Dennis Leary in there. That would have been much more fitting.
it?
And
I
yeah,
always thought, what's his name from Community? Joel.
Joel McHale.
Yeah,
He was
Joel
pretty
McHale?
smart.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Dennis Leary would have fit the role, having him dropping F bombs and having actual Hal Jordan in there, basically to try to rein him in, or even have Booster Gold and Blue Beetle making their debut in this movie as the Justice League International.
I mean, heck, like Nathan Fillion, like people consistently over the years fan cast him as Hal Jordan, because like because like he voiced him like in materials like outside of the comics.
well.
And
It seems like James Gunn did that with pretty much everyone, because he's gonna end up doing the same thing with Damian Wayne. Instead of starting with Dick Grayson, he's gonna jump right to the edgy boy Robin, because he likes the edgy boy Robin better.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get some comments.
If you're not gonna have Nathan Fillion as Hal Jordan, put Tom Cruise in there. Screw you, fanboys. We're gonna put
Okay, so let's see.
or,
you know what,
guys,
you know what-
let me get some
Well,
comments.
let's hear the comments. Let's hear the comment section, people.
we can
Alrighty,
read
so-
them. They're on the screen.
Let's see. Rhaegar said, because this is how far I am. Rhaegar saying, I agree, Suicide Squad was done well, even though I wasn't a big fan of it. Eddie Raymond's got, his humor got carried away, which is a bad thing. Rhaegar saying, technically also against the engineer. Sorry for the pun. Ethereal Dragon saying, so it's not a Superman, it's a Justice League film. It's a Superman movie, but it's a Superman movie.
It has problems.
Hold on, let me. It's a Superman movie as if Superman's at a party and you're hearing everybody else's conversation. Let's see. Specifically, it's making fun of Zack Snyder. Everybody should. I'm tired of them. I'm done with them. I'm not offended in the least by there being, says Rhaegar, more superhero villain characters in there than Superman. I welcome. It's about damn time.
To be
Go
fair,
ahead,
they're James Gunn's fan just as bad as a Snyder.
That's true. Let's see. Also, because they're not saying, look, Man of Steel was good. This one was good. They both had problems.
It's a
I think
psyop.
you're
They're all
I think you're very generous to Man of Steel there, E. I
Yeah,
didn't like this movie, and I can still acknowledge it's better than Man of Steel was.
I can too, but both of them were good.
Man of Steel had the look. This one had more of the hope.
Let's see. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Sorry, guys. Facts, I don't like Superman's parents. Evil.
Yeah, you was talking about what I talked about, how his Kal-El, his parents,
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah, that was
and that's from like actual comic book. And it was a New 52 or something. They had the new Krypton, where they were evil.
yeah. That seems like the biggest problem here, and I didn't really get to address on it earlier because me and Jay were going at it. But it seems like James Gunn learned about Superman through evil versions of Superman, like the plot with Clark's birth parents. James basically stole that from Omni-Man and Brightburn. The Clark being extremely thin-skinned and concerned with what the media thinks of him. That's kind of Homelander. I think James Gunn has a similar problem with the culture overall, which is people just don't want to let Superman be good for no other reason than he just is good. Like, the people always want to either portray Superman as stupid for being as innocent as he is, or they want to try and give him some cynical, pragmatic, alternate motive instead of, no, some people just are that good. Kind of. That's one thing I really loved about Captain America: The First Avenger. They didn't give Steve a rationalistic reason for being that good. He just was that good to begin with, and that's what made him worthy of the experiment. I honestly really wish they had taken what the MCU did with Captain America and just scale it up, because that is who Superman is. He doesn't need a rationalistic reason, Zach. He doesn't need a thin-skinned everyman bullshit, James. What he is good. Where Batman is the guy who fought with darkness and decided to use darkness against darkness, Superman is the light that burns so brightly that darkness cannot touch him. That is who Superman is.
He had a question for you.
Go ahead.
Well, it's like, do you want an example?
All right. Real quickly, do you think that with Tom King being attached to this, obviously with the Supergirl stuff, and him whispering in his ear, do you think if we get a Jonathan Kent, do you think he'll be aged up and made gay?
As long as he's not
evil Jor-El.
as long as he's not a Antifa supporting teenage activist sociopath, that's fine. I don't have a problem with him being gay. I have a problem with John Kent being a fucking activist sociopath.
Well, one could argue that Jor-El was evil. That's why he took John and made him gay.
He didn't. Okay, that's
John
bullshit.
John wasn't gay beforehand.
He was a child. We don't know what his sexuality was. Sexuality doesn't develop until teenage years, my dude.
You can groom children, though.
Right, but why would that would just be doing the Bobby Drake Jean Grey thing again. You can't ungay him now that he's gay for exactly the same reason as you can't turn Iceman gay, given that he has a 50-year history of being straight.
Let's not derail everything here and talk.
It was derailed a long time ago when you invited us on.
Dom, did you have anything to add to everything that's been going on?
You get 20 seconds on the clock before we interrupt you.
Oh, what is this? My question was an hour ago. Haha. What was your question, MK?
We don't do surveys on this type of format.
What was the question?
No,
it was a mistake to have all 4 people on here, or 5.
It's okay. We're doing fine. Well,
I feel like some of us have more passion to talk longer, so we should have our own channels.
People forgot Evil Superman has damaged reputation.
Ian Dalton should have you guys should have your own channels. And
we do. We hardly ever use it.
Yeah.
That was a mistake.
After almost 2 hours, none of you guys have convinced me I should spend money to see these movies in theaters. I don't know if that was what we were going for. How would you guys compare Holt's Luthor to Kevin Spacey's Luthor? Kevin had 50-50 goofy to serious at times. I think okay, so it's two. Let me answer this.
Go ahead.
I think that Kevin Spacey was supposed to be playing Gene Hackman's Luthor. This one is completely different. This one's supposed to be a more serious, more angered Lex Luthor, and I think Nicholas Hoult did absolutely fine with what he had, and Kevin Spacey did absolutely fine with what he had, and Gene Hackman is what he was. If you go back and you watch the 78 movie and Superman 2 and so forth, Gene Hackman was not playing what we know Lex Luthor to be. He was playing a pre-crisis scientist, kind of goofy Lex Luthor, and that's what Kevin Spacey had to pick up. But Kevin Spacey also had to add in the modern day businessman to the goofy. So,
But
Well,
Well,
I wouldn't say-
are you gonna let other people weigh in on this question, or are you just
yeah, but
asking
it
if
sounded
you've
like,
answered it?
hold on, it sounded like Dominic was speaking first. We'll go him and then you and then go to RDB. All right, Dom, answer the question there. If you want.
Hackman was clearly playing pre-crisis Lex, and Kevin Spacey had to pick that up, but he also added in post-crisis with the businessman. So with Holt, well, he's playing Lex through Jeff Johns' Superman Secret Origins, which is bringing back his pre-crisis origins, the mad scientist aspect, as well as actually knowing Clark back in Smallville. Oh, so and with Holt, he does the best with what he has. As for how if people will love him in the long run, that's still up in the air because he is a new live action incarnation of Lex.
In my opinion, I think Kevin Spacey balanced out the serious Lex with the comedic Lex a lot better, because a lot of Kevin Spacey's more comedic moments were when Lex was sick of people's shit. Whereas I think they try to do something similar here, but there's too much of the comedic Luthor and not enough of the puppet master or mastermind
I
or
didn't see that at all.
like
I thought it was,
Randian superhero. But yeah, point being, I think Kevin Spacey did a much better job balancing serious Luthor and comedic Luthor, and this one defaulted far too much back to the Golden Age roots, and it makes the fact that Lex is right about shit in this movie even more insufferable. Because at the very least, if he were playing the serious, puppet mastermind figure, then okay, maybe he can find some way of getting under Clark's skin. He still shouldn't have, because that's not how Superman is, but at least it would have made more sense. Whereas Luthor here is, sadly enough, less maniacal and calculating than the Jesse Eisenberg version.
ew.
I never thought I would say that, but yeah, Eisenberg's Luthor was much better at the mastermind shit than
Okay, RDV, let's hear his take.
I don't think Kevin Spacey was goofy at all. I thought he was the most serious on all of them. I mean, up to this point, he's the one that would just murder your someone in front of you. And I liked about this Lex kind of channel that did the same thing. He just shot the guy.
That was a funny cryptic moment when he's playing Russian roulette and he clicked and then he fires and he kills the guy and he's like, oh, I thought that would take longer. Yeah. The way he says it, he wasn't making a joke. No, it was a funny moment because it broke the tension, but it wasn't like womp 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 bum bum. It wasn't that kind of joke. It was just like, oh, I thought that would take longer. Yeah.
So also in this universe,
that's what people said it in their review. When they talk about Lex.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, as far as Lex Luthor, this one in this movie, the James Gunn, he was not obsessed with Lois. Whereas all the other comics and stuff, he wanted to date Lois. He wanted to wear. Even in the Lois and Clark of the 90s with Dean Cain, he was obsessed with Lois, but then she didn't want to be with him. But he was still running Intergang, from behind the scenes, which I liked. That was so great. The problem I had with this thing is that Lex Luthor, for me, growing up the animated series, he was a hands-on. He would not have a bunch of nerds on playing video games, joysticks, controlling Ultraman. Quotes Ultraman, because that was a cop-out too.
Well, yeah.
He would have been after the first guy messed up. He was like, "Dude, you guys are annoying, useless. Get out. You're all fired." He would have put on Nintendo Power Gloves, and he would have done it himself.
Well, yeah. Okay. Actually, piggybacking off your point here a little bit, Vank. Why wasn't it just Lex in the Luthor suit? Why did they? What was the point with Ultraman and the freaking Street Fighter key command bullshit. Why didn't Lek just build a power suit and do it himself? For fuck's sake, I hated that so much.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
but-
go
but
ahead,
people-
Dom.
Good, Dom. Yeah.
Yeah, people were promoted like waiting to see Lex like suit up. Because like this was supposed to be like be a portrayal of post crisis Lex, but the pre crisis has been restored after Infinite Crisis. Whereas like people would expect that. Now that's not to say post crisis. Percy like wasn't a scientist. He was, but he wasn't the mad scientist as he was originally. Really,
He was
until
a
that
tech
was
prodigy.
until that was restored after Infinite Crisis, versus as seen in Jeff Johns' Superman Secret Origins.
Okay.
But I can understand why people were disappointed that they didn't see Lex like suit up like in his armor, which at least all that build-up would have paid off.
This is the thing I've always said. A lot of people said, if fans of the Batman animated series and the Superman animated series, you have legitimate stories you can make movies out of, and you have everything there. It's not that hard to do it. It's just that they think these are Hollywood executives think that, well, no, I have a vision. I don't want to be like the other ones. I want to do my own thing.
Yeah,
It's like-
your vision is bad. Deal with it.
and
Yeah,
then it always ends up either flopping or just being a complete joke over time. The Batman animated series still holds up. Superman animated freaking series. That whole thing at the end, or there's a plot point in the where
JLU is just amazing all the way through.
But even before JLU, Superman animated series, Darkseid brainwashes freaking Clark. You know, Dan Turpin standing up to him, and he gets killed. And you so after this, towards the end of the series, the series, he goes, takes the boom tube, because everybody doesn't like him more. He's got his new costume on, his old costume back on. He goes to the Star Labs, takes the freaking boom device out of Star Labs, and he's angry. He goes to Darkseid, and he pretty much, he's like, you use me and all this stuff, and then what he does is that he basically, thank you for being someone I can finally, I've been looking for someone I can vent on. You can handle it.
To piggyback off of Venkman's point here a little bit, even the comedic moments in Superman the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series, JLU, etc., even they were such that they were badass. One of my all-time favorite comedic scenes in JLU, Question goes to confront Luthor, and Luthor goes, "No, sorry, conspiracy buff. I spent billions of dollars just to annoy Superman," and then he beats the fuck out of him. That is a comedic line, but it's done in such a way that it is still irredeemably badass, even though it's basically Lex admitting he has a man crush on Soups and just needs to get a room. God damn it, Lex, but. Yeah, even the comedic moments of the Superman and the DC animated universe were more like realistic, badass, and actually three-dimensional in terms of this is not a winks at the camera comedic moment. This is Luthor is trying to be funny while still beating the fuck out of a motherfucker.
Now, I did like when he comes in though. Superman comes in when he's like, "Where's Krypton?" I didn't care for him destroying the thing, even though he's done in the comic books. That's great. And the way the animated series handled that, he basically showed up hovering outside the window, and he's like, "I know you're behind me." He's like, and Lex is like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." It must eat you up the side that with all that power, you still can't do anything. That's the Lex I like, the mastermind. And then when the time comes to it, eventually, he does, get the power suit because he's like, I'm done with all the incompetence. I want to kill you with my own hands, Or he uses kryptonite with a gun, or he has kryptonite in a room and he puts it in there. He's like, how does it feel? Now we're equals now. You can know, and like I prefer this Luthor, the Clancy Brown stuff, because this is supposed to be year 3. And this is the best Lex can do is get a clone. Sorry, yes, that's what the Doomsday is. Doomsday, he looks like Doomsday. He's got the music sound, but it's actually Ultraman is not the one from Earth 3, the real Ultraman. This is a clone that Lex made, and he controls them by
Zorro.
It's
basically,
Bizarro.
yeah,
Yeah, which is not
But
far
you
off
just-
from like how Bizarro came to be in the comics.
yeah, exactly. Well, in the animated series too, it was a clone of Superman. They eventually reverted into a deformed, and honestly, I thought, just say that. Don't freaking call it Ultraman, because I'm expecting multiverse then.
Yeah,
Well-
if you're not gonna do it, then don't do it. If you are gonna do it, then actually commit to the bit, as
made
DNC
me-
used to say.
It made me think when they shoot him through the black hole at the end, he's going to go to the universe of the crime syndicate, and we're going to
Just like Man of Steel, he didn't snap his neck, but he did murder a guy.
Yeah, maybe, maybe. Like I said,
Well,
I think he's
it
going to the
depends on
crime
how
syndicate
strong-
universe.
It
Well, wait.
depends on how strong the clone is.
Well-
He could very easily survive.
Yes, just like Silver Surfer.
Yes.
But wait, he's not a man. Only women can survive black holes.
Well, there you go. Let's see. Richard P was smoking.
Well, they do have more experience with holes, but I'm tish.
What we learned from
There's a
Dalton
hole
is
in your
that
logic
jokes are
there.
supposed to be funny. Just write funny jokes, and we won't have a problem.
Yeah.
Already.
So here's
So-
the thing, though. Is that I want to quickly pick it back to the
Go
humor
ahead.
thing. If you've seen Suicide Squad, James Gunn, you've seen Peacemaker, it's the same humor. And that's the problem I had with the MCU when they went campy mode. Every
No, it's
freaking
worse.
thing had the same humor.
No.
It's worse, Bankman. This was James Gunn. This was James Gunn writing his homework down on the side of a napkin. Humor that, like, his humor is usually so much better than this. I haven't seen a James Gunn movie that I was this
But-
critical of since that first James Gunn Scooby-Doo movie all those years ago.
I
Well,
hope,
he was only the writer.
though, that the other movies do not have the James Gunn, humor in it. Though I want to,
Yeah.
because I don't want everything to be the same kind of jokes because they get stale.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
'cause
need
it-
to
it's
allow.
done by different directors to actually work on these movies, even TV shows. Then that will not become an issue in the long run.
Like I said before, instead of writing funny lines so that the character can turn and mug to the camera while he says them, think of things that people would actually feasibly say in universe and would actually think they were funny. Like, again, calling back to the scene with Luthor and the Question in JLU. That's right, conspiracy buff. I spent billions of dollars just to annoy Superman, and then proceeds to beat the fuck out of him. Because just because a character is trying to be funny doesn't mean they shouldn't also be a three-dimensional character with a three-dimensional life, and also, when they're a villain, they should still be able to be simultaneously funny
Well,
and menacing at the same time. Think of Ursula from Little Mermaid. Think of Jafar. Think of Scar. They all had moments where they were definitely trying to be funny and mugging to the camera and playing up the bit and everything, but they also managed to do so while being menacing.
all right, any humor needs to be in character, period.
Can I say
And not
real
just
quick?
random out there. Okay, go on ahead.
The reason I didn't like Crypto because Crypto was pretty much Polka Dot's mom. It was the same thing, the same joke.
Just too much.
So
much.
the whole
too much,
entire
yeah.
movie, it was Polka Dot Mask, whatever guy's name is, man. His mom was the running joke. They kept going the whole movie. That was Crypto. Now, if you like that stuff, that's great. But I want to bring up something else. We get Rick Flag Sr. in here, played by Frank Grillo. I want more of him. I want his.
You will get. He's one of the main.
If they're going to do
guys in
Suicide Squad, I
Peacemaker.
want the original Suicide Squad.
They're
version.
going to make him go after Peacemaker for killing Rick Flag Jr.
I
Yeah.
hope they do. I hope they do the get out of hell free card storyline with Suicide Squad at some point, especially since this phase is supposedly called Gods and Monsters. Still, James, I'm gonna need to see your notes and actually see some actual gods and actual monsters, if you please. And a good way to introduce the supernatural side of the DC universe in a more grounded story like Suicide Squad. Do the get out of hell free card storyline. I am begging you, please. It works for the theme of the phase, and also shows where the mundane interacting with the supernatural can work.
James, can we just get Suicide Squad versus Darkseid?
So you want them all to die at the end. That's what
Oh,
you're telling me.
I want Peacekeeper to show up and just shoot Darkseid and kill him.
Well, he's a
I think
deity,
that
so
would
I
be a
don't think that's gonna.
I don't think that would be a crowd pleaser. But
Well, here's another question though. Do you think this Superman is strong enough to even take on Darkseid?
No,
Will he get tossed around in this movie?
he does. There is no moment where Superman is in any way like
he was John Byrne. He was made less powerful.
So,
John Byrne did this.
But even in the post crisis,
but he never makes it. He never has his comeback moment though, because even his comeback moment was upstaged by Crypto, ragdolling Lex.
Yeah, I would have to say that. I would like even in Superman Returns, you had that scene where he saves the airplane and he's holding it in the stadium and he sets it down. I was looking for that moment. He held up a building a couple of times, but James Gunn really never pulled back to see how massive, how amazing this feat is. He never had that I am Superman scene.
He doesn't get the grandeur of the character. He doesn't get the like I was referring to earlier, the golden light that burns so bright that darkness has no place in it. That's who Superman is supposed to be.
As I said, with James being a hypocrite about allowing Matt Reeves to not be part of his universe and just do his own thing, I would have rather had Black Adam 2 with freaking Superman versus Black Adam. And then later on, you could do a Superman story with him versus Darkseid.
I still think someone, as much as I enjoyed Black Adam, someone should have told Dwayne Johnson to his face, Black Adam is not a Superman villain. He is a Shazam family villain. You're what?
Shazam was supposed to be in the second movie with him.
Yeah. You should be in Shazam 3, and that's like. And I don't even necessarily mind the idea of Black Adam and Superman coming to blows, like in a Justice League movie or something. But someone should have put their foot down and said, "Dwayne, I love you, but Black Adam is a Shazam family villain. You are fighting the Shazam family. You don't get to fight Superman."
We don't need the family because we've had this in animated movie. Remember that? They already did this. They had Superman and Captain Marvel versus.
Well, given that the Shazam family was already being set up and shit is what I meant. What I meant by that.
But I said I still want. That's a fight I still wanted with that. And I said Superman versus Darkseid. I wanted Henry freaking Cavill versus Darkseid. That would have been awesome.
I'm still sitting there going, Justice League period piece set in the 40s. When, please?
That's okay. I'm glad you brought it up. They remind me of the 1960s. We had Fantastic Four in the 60s. I would have loved to see Peter Parker. I would have loved to see Iron Man in the 60s. I would have loved to see that stuff.
You want a Silver Age MCU.
I wanted why not? If they could do that,
see a problem with it. There's no why not for me.
I want to see them. I want to see the Frightful Four, whatever they are. Yeah, I want to see them.
Yeah, the Frightful Four.
I want to see the Awesome Inhumans. I
would love that.
The 1960s,
and I want to see it with Pixel.
And also, speaking of like Fantastic Four, and also like the original Lee and Kirby run, but obviously wanted to bring up like with how Reed was handled like back then. Yeah, he was written like as a genius, stoic, but he is like in touch with his emotions, and like he does not have any difficulties like with people.
Except he does. This is well established. He doesn't have common sense. This is a man who saw Galactus dying and went, "I'm gonna heal him back to health." Oh no, he's eating planets again. Who could have seen this coming? And then the Shi'ar show up and go, You found Galactus dying and you healed him. Why, Reed? Why?
Real quickly, The Rock makes him a full villain. No, because in wrestling he became the ultra heel and currently in wrestling. So The Rock could go. I think he would go full villain.
This is the story Dalton was talking about. I can bring this one.
Yeah. That's the one thing that was missing. This is the bright pink or the bright red and green armor.
Right.
Yeah, although to be fair, like I didn't mind the trans. I think Galactus got the best treatment out of any like cosmic or greater like entity we've seen in an MCU movie so far. Like the only one that I would argue might be a little bit better in terms of how they were portrayed than Galactus in First Steps was Dormammu at the end of Doctor Strange 1. And we don't even need to talk about Eternity, because as psyched as I was at the time seeing Eternity in Love and Thunder, he's literally the universe's like organizing intelligence, my dude. He should have been like an entire galaxy's worth of stars and shit.
Dude, you bring up Eternity, I immediately went to Kid Eternity. That's my mind went to DC.
Well, you're more of a DC fan than you are a Marvel fan in general,
really.
I think.
Honestly, I'm a Spider-Man fan from Marvel and Thor stuff. Never was really into Silver Surfer and kind of like Fantastic Four. I've been recently reading like the books on the channel, so I've been appreciating Fantastic Four more.
That being said, speaking of,
I think we can all agree though that Thor: Love and Thunder was probably the best comic book movie ever made.
Under absolutely no circumstances am I letting you get away with that. I know you're doing the deliberately wrong thing, but you are not allowed to get away from that.
I love Fantastic Four. I loved Superman. I love both of these movies, but I got to admit that the biggest flaw both of these films has is there are no bleeding goats. That was what was missing. That's what's missing from.
There was goats.
Sandman would have been a better TV show if, after every line spoken by Death, by a bleeding goat. That was what was missing from Sandman. That's why you hate it so much.
No.
You're trying to give me an aneurysm, aren't you?
There was bleeding goats. That was in the country that Hawkgirl went to and killed the president.
I've completely forgot about that. Actually, well done.
Yeah, a lot of goats suffered that night.
I stand correct.
Superman did, in fact, have bleeding goats. You are demonstrably wrong.
I want to say something, though, and this is probably going to make people like, what the f- is he on? Because I'm going to say, this movie with Pedro Pascal, Fantastic Four, I think it was better than the first Avengers. I think it's right up there with Captain America: First Avenger, which I really love. This felt like a Phase 1 movie.
So okay,
I liked Fantastic Four a lot more than I thought I would, and a lot more than Superman. I don't know as I would put it up in the same category as Captain America: The First Avenger, because that's like number 3 on my all-time MCU list. It goes Guardians 1, Avengers 1, then Cap 1, then Infinity War, and then Guardians 2. So, like, it would take an awful lot for me to put First Steps anywhere near First Avenger, but that's because I really, really like First Avenger. I think it's the best of the trilogy. And that's why people always look at me funny when I say that Captain America: The First Avenger was the best in the trilogy, and Winter Soldier was the worst in the trilogy.
And my other hot take, and you guys will probably cringe at this and throw all your trash, save your tomatoes, hold on to them. You want to eat those.
Get your pitchforks and torches here, folks.
James Gunn's Superman movie reminded me of My Adventures of Superman cartoon. In the sense
I
that
think
Lois
the cartoon's better than.
Let him
finish. No.
Lois and Jimmy helped him fight the villains.
Okay. I would. I don't know. I have never actually watched that movie.
I think My Adventures with Superman is better than the 2025 movie.
Austin said I rewatched Rise of Silver Surfer last week for the first time since I was a kid, seeing it on DVD, and it ain't bad. It's not great. It's just charming. That's what I thought about the 2000s Fantastic Four movies. They were a lot of fun.
I will say this for Rise of the Silver Surfer. It is very of its time, but there is one scene in that movie that is pitch freaking perfect, and it's the one where Reed is telling the general dude off. I love that scene to death. Okay. It is amazing.
So here's the question, and I'm gonna add on another question so Dom can join in.
Dom's here. Where is he?
Yeah, he's right there. Okay, so We'll start with we're going to go clockwise here. We'll start with RDV. RDV, overall, what did you think of Superman? Which one do you prefer, Superman or Fantastic Four? Should people see it in theaters? Yes or no? And also, what is your favorite and least favorite of the MCU movies and TV shows combined?
Oh, there's a lot of TV shows I haven't watched in the MCU. As far as Superman overall, like I said, it's not a bad movie, but the people who admit there's not flaws and say, "Oh, it's way better than Man of Steel" stuff, you have bias in your thing. It's
Better than Man of Steel, but it's still bad.
Okay, let him talk. You'll get your turn.
I'm just saying, it felt on par with what we've gotten previous with the Snyderverse. And the humor kind of was a little bit more put into, yes, kind of lighthearted, but it kind of felt like, when Josh Whedon, in the Justice League movie, when you had Josh Whedon take over for I think it was Snyder, yeah, and it just felt like two different movies, and that's what Superman felt to me like. It felt like two different movies put together. You got the thing with Crypto, who basically is a murder dog who's going around killing people, and squirrels and all that stuff, and then you had you had Superman, but then you had everyone else, like the Justice League there, or Justice Gang. Like, you're trying to throw them in here and just say, okay, so they're established now. And then you really didn't bother fleshing them out. They're kind of background stuff, But overall, would I recommend it? Wait till it hits DVD. Unless your person has to watch everything in, theaters. That's cool. It's great. I don't want to drive 30 minutes and go pay like 12, whatever, $14 what it is to go watch a movie at night. And then the other thing I'd say, as far as that, okay, what was the other question you said? Like, after the horror movie, would I recommend it? Yeah, I recommend it.
Which one was better, Fantastic Four or Superman?
So that's kind of a tricky question because they're completely different movies, different tones.
Yeah. Superman's
more campy, more actiony. This is more kind of like a very disturbing, not depressing in a sense, but more it's like, this is a family movie. This is basically people come together in a time of tragedy, kind of like how Independence Day was, in a sense. You had families banding together because there's a serious threat coming, and so it was more of a serious movie. It had its few jokes in there, but its overall tone was basically focusing on the family and their interaction with Galactus and just the birth of Franklin. It was a very calm, more like direct tone. So what I honestly, though, I like the fact that it was more focused on one thing instead of focused on a bunch of things like James Gunn was.
Yeah.
James Gunn was ADD to me.
Threw everything in the kitchen sink in, whether it made sense or not.
Dalton, your favorite and least favorite of the Marvel Universe?
My favorite of the Marvel Universe is Captain America: First Avenger.
Okay.
The worst I've seen, man. I don't see a lot of the movies stuff. I watched Captain Marvel and just like Force Awakens, people are like, "Oh my gosh, it's so horrible." It's like, it was okay. It wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
Now, if you're basing off what your expectations were gonna be, yeah, then it probably sucked you. But it's kind of hard to narrow down because there's parts of Endgame I didn't like either, but people are like, "Oh, that's so great."
Yeah,
but,
Endgame.
So
sucks.
I'd have to go and try to. Actually, you know what? I take it back. The worst one is Thor 2.
Okay.
I would say that because
That you've seen anyway.
that I've seen, yeah. I'm trying to remember. I watched these when they came out. I do not go back and watch movies. That's a real thumb. That's also how I keep my collection down minimum. I don't want to have I don't have like a blockbuster wall of movies. But yeah, I'd say Thor 2 because I wanted a casket of Ancient Winters, but it's got this freaking floating ether crap.
Oh, I think that's 3.
No, 3 was Planet Hulk.
No, 2 was Planet Hulk.
No, 2 was no.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot all about Dark World. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Dark World is the one where the reality stone is a liquid for some reason, and Jane gets infected with it, and Christopher Eccleston bores the audience for 120 minutes.
I saw that in Thailand, and I forgot about it.
But originally that movie was they had Malik, they originally were gonna do like Cascades and Winters, but they decided to turn it into the Infinity Stone. for the rest of the
Right.
movie. And it
Okay.
just- yeah.
Dominic.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
he's there.
I know you don't have. I know you don't have an opinion as far as which
better.
one's better. But what is your favorite and least favorite of the MCU? And since you have extra time, how about the DC movies as well?
Well, I was just saying he saw Superman, didn't he?
No.
No.
That's right. You didn't see any of them.
Right.
Well, now you've heard all of them.
And that's fine.
Yep.
Let's answer your
Spoilers.
question. Like that, I don't mind spoilers.
Yeah.
Anyway, to answer your question, is for our first Avenger. As for the worst, instead of Captain Marvel, it would have to be the Eternals because it just did those characters that Jack made dirty.
Okay.
Ooh, here's a hot take. If DC does New Gods, so it'd be the same thing as Eternals.
Well,
It shouldn't
basically
be,
is.
but what? Oh God.
Big Man, don't give Warner Brothers or Gunn any ideas.
You keep saying that. You think they actually are listening to what I'm saying? If they were, we'd have better
No, but
movies.
it's out there in the universe now, which means there is a universe where that
Wait,
exists now, Bankman.
wasn't it the woman who did what was that Circle of
A-
Time with Oprah
Ava
Winfrey?
DuVernay, and
Ava
the movie you're thinking of is A Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah,
With
they
them
were
in New
gonna.
Gods.
That was the lady they hired to do New Gods, and it was just a big old forehead slap. It's like, no.
Can we,
I
can we-
actually wouldn't have minded seeing her take on that because she is good at trippy and she is good at bizarre metaphysics. Because Wrinkle in Time, the only things that were worth recommending about that movie was it was good at trippy and it was good at weird metaphysics. So her take on New Gods, I would not have hated. I don't think.
Okay.
But it's still
Tom.
not a good adaptation of the book.
Well, no, but like I said, the only things that were good about the Wrinkle in Time were it was good at trippy and it was good at bizarre metaphysics.
Now for DC, are we talking about movies, television, or both?
I want you to feel free to answer in any way, shape, or
Well,
form.
he originally had said if you include TV shows and stuff,
Yeah.
but what is your favorite? What's the least?
Just to give you the same kind of time, but whichever.
Stargirl. Stargirl, like as the
Since
best.
you're talking, I'm gonna talk over you. Go ahead.
Stargirl is your best. Why would you say Stargirl?
Well, what can I say? Besides Jeff Johns being heavily involved, it wasn't ashamed, of the fact that it's a comic book TV show, nor is it based off of the original series like Stars and Stripes.
Well, follow the plot too from the book.
Oh,
Just
very
change
much.
One thing. Change one thing. That's it.
Right. As for my least favorite or the worst, that would that's obviously a toss up between later seasons of Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl. And well, with the coin toss, I got to give it to Supergirl.
Yeah, the later seasons were awful.
It was crap.
Yeah. It took me, by the way, a full year to finish season 9 of The Flash, the last season.
Oh, you know,
I could not binge
I
it.
jumped ship. I jumped ship from Flash because I saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
I was kind of mad that MK did not throw in the Lex Luthor from the Superman and Lois TV series because
Nothing that the Berlantiverse did was even close to as good as Smallville was.
Okay.
Supergirl had the Bart Allen Flash on there for some reason on there.
All
I
right.
don't
So
care for that.
let me get some comments and then I'm going to give my 2 cents and then we'll
Oh,
move
did you
on
ask
here.
Dalton what his favorite?
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't
Oh,
go
I
yet.
thought we did. Oh,
Once-
go on ahead.
once
You do
Skip
you.
No,
No,
Skip Dalton.
you
you
skipped over him.
specifically said you were going in, I think, clockwise order,
Yeah, and
meaning
skipped
I
you.
would be last, and I didn't go yet.
Go on ahead.
It's class it skips ahead.
Being that as it may, I was surprised by how good Fantastic Four was. I did not go into this expecting Fantastic Four to be the better of the two. As far as where I rank Fantastic Four first steps, it's right between Winter Soldier on the low end and Guardians 3 on the higher end. As far as Superman, it had really good moments, and I am kind of upset I didn't get a chance to talk about the good moments that actually do make it work for me a little bit more. But unfortunately, one good squirrel scene and some other scenes where Superman is saving people being good doesn't solve the problem of the entire main plot of this movie is fucked. And it does it. James Gunn said years ago he would never do a Superman movie because he doesn't understand the character, and I can confirm he still doesn't know jack shit about the character. His version of Superman has the social media obsession of Homelander and the origin story of Brightburn / Omni-Man, thanks to the Jor-El and Lorna retcon. And yeah, there were a lot of good moments in Superman, though, even though the main plot was a clusterfuck.
Okay.
And that plus its tone do, in my opinion, make it considerably better than Man of Steel, because neither movie really understands the character, but the trying to fit a character whose entire ethos is altruism and compassion to a fault into a Randian box. Zack Snyder doesn't work. As far as where I rank Superman relative to the other DCEU / more recent DC superhero stuff, it's better than all the bad ones. Like, I have it right between the Snyder cut of Justice League on my list on the low end, and then I have it right underneath Aquaman 2 because I didn't like it as much as I did Black Adam. I didn't like it as much as either of the two Shazam movies. I didn't like it as much as Wonder Woman 1 or Aquaman 1. And it doesn't deserve to even be mentioned in the same category as either Suicide Squad 2 or Joker. But it is better than all the pure Snyderverse stuff. It's not as good as the post Snyderverse stuff before James Gunn came in.
Okay.
As for Fantastic Four, like I said, it's right between Winter Soldier on the low end and Guardians 3 on the high end.
So what's your favorite MCU?
I would give Fantastic Four a 7 out of 10. Being extremely generous with Superman, I will give it a 5 out of 10. As far as what's my favorite and least favorite of the MCU, my favorite is Guardians 1, my least favorite is Eternals, and just to be perfectly clear about my DC list as well, my number one recent DC movie is Joker 1, and that list gets bookended because the worst one is Joker 2. Right below Birds of Prey and Man of Steel for me.
The best of the Joker movies. All righty. Let's see. My little brother walked in on a Jessica Alba scene. The first words out of the movie is, "Holy crap, she's hot." Well, it is. Yeah, he is not wrong. That was Austin. I'm catching up on MCU shows. I'm doing a rewatch on Disney Plus. They have all the shows in one timeline. So I started at the very beginning with Captain Marvel and just go through. It's got all of the one shots in it as well. And I'm in season 2 of Daredevil right now. Alrighty, let's see. Fantastic Four is better, says Rhaegar. I haven't seen Fantastic Four, says Black Spiders. Because the tone of Fantastic Four was consistent throughout the entire film, Superman had serious tonal shifts. Okay. I don't like Pedro Pascal's face and mustache on Reed Richards' face. It's uncanny to me, says Austin. The Marvels might have been the worst, says Rhaegar. Actually, it's between the Eternals and the Marvels. Black Widow is also pretty bad, says Rhaegar.
It's near the bottom. Don't you worry. The Marvels is definitely near the bottom, but Eternals is for me worse.
See. The Marvels is very mid, says Ethereal. Austin, people praised the crap out of the Force Awakens when it came out, including 14-year-old me. I did. I enjoyed it. I still do. I think, of all the Star Wars, it's one of the few I could say is Force Awakens better than Godfather. Not as
Well,
not as good,
I-
not as good as Last Jedi, however.
You know,
Wow.
I kind of half-heartedly agree with this because that's one of the reasons a lot of people like manga,
Yeah,
because you
Mhm.
have one view,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
someone comes in like what you did with Star Wars. The new chapters, we don't call them.
I've got to skip ahead here.
They
wait.
came in with basically we had The Force Awakens, and then the one after that completely, it was a J.J. Abrams completely said, "Fuck that, we're doing our own, we're retconning shit now, we're doing their own thing, ignoring stuff." And that's kind of like some of these movies are. They're so jarring because they're not really connected. And and he's always said this, and a lot of people have said this, including myself. It doesn't have to be connected.
No,
We're world building. Just make a good movie. If I don't give a fuck about the Justice League. I want a Supermoon movie that's great that I can watch.
think about this. They made a Batman v Superman movie that was not about Batman versus Superman.
No,
Yeah.
All we
they,
needed.
they gave it
was-
less than 20 minutes of screen time.
All we needed was Batman versus Superman. You could do that, but
I
no,
don't want that. You know what I want? Superman versus Mr. Plizik in Superman 1. Superman 2. Let's bring in some other rogue gallery. Come in. Just keep doing
You couldn't
that.
do Mixie the first time out, though. I think Mixie would have to be the capstone to the trilogy. If
And
you were
that's the
doing
problem
Mixie.
with modern Hollywood. Everybody has their own opinion about who could be
Well,
this.
no, I mean you shouldn't do Mixie the first time out. You should frankly do Brainiac the first time out,
Well,
or maybe Metallo if you want to get Luthor involved.
There's nothing wrong with Easter eggs having a hint that maybe you saw where there's a 5-second scene if you'll miss it if you don't see it where he's going somewhere you're like, wait, that looks different. Why is there a pine? Or is there a
I
Listen
say if it's a good script, you can do
Yeah.
whomever you want.
yeah?
All right, let me finish
I
up
wouldn't
here.
start the trilogy with
Let me finish
Mixie.
off
I would
here,
say
guys.
then.
Rhaegar
let
saying,
them speak.
let's see, Stargirl is good, says Ethereal. Rhaegar saying best is either Guardians 1 or Captain America 1. Let's see.
I can't argue
Stargirl
with
was
that.
fun to watch. I've seen the whole season. They need better CGI. It was on a TV budget. Which had better acting, Superman versus Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four easily, yeah.
The right Supergirl CW show did issue budget effects. Oh my gosh, some of them were horrible towards the end. Doom Patrol season 1 was good too. That little girl can sing. By the way, I love Doom Patrol all the way through. I have not yet seen the 4th season.
Pixel, whenever we reviewed Supergirl on the channel, he's like, I love these PS2 graphics. They fight.
Well,
Peanut
but here-
was in Superman, and he got saved. Let's see. Has DC agreed on name for the cinema? I hope not. I'm scared of watching Joker 2 fully. Don't. I'm the
It's
only
bad.
person in the
It's
entire
bad.
world that liked Joker 2.
Can we just call DC all different?
Let's see. I know, right?
No.
Hold on. Let me finish here, and then I get to do my. All right. I thought bottom 3 movies are Eternals, Black Widow, and Ant-Man, says Ethereal. Ant-Man 3. To show an example of what my movie taste was like when I was a teen, I actually liked Batman v Superman. I still like it, by the way, but I watched the director's cut with all that missing character shit put in. Yeah, I'd also, by the way, prefer the 4-hour Zack Snyder cut of Justice League.
Warner Brothers is their own worst supervillain because they
They always been.
they tried to get him to make movies and then they wouldn't let him actually make movies.
To show an okay, there you go. All righty. My take: Superman was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I also was happy that we had a colorful Superman. For as much as I did like Man of Steel, and I still like Man of Steel, it had that Zack Snyder blue pallor to everything. There's a lot to like, though. There was one thing I didn't like, and I mentioned it, and that was Crypto. However, I liked the Justice Gang. I liked the fight with the kaiju. I thought Nicholas Hoult made a great Lex Luthor. I had a blast with it, and I was able to watch it twice within a couple of days, which is amazing to me because I never do that. I always prefer the movie I didn't see to the movie I did see, and I did that with Fantastic Four on the same day, so I love that one too. I do recommend you see both of these movies in the movie theater because that's the way that they're big movies and they're meant to be seen on the big screen. These are if you're watching Pink Panther, you're watching a comedy, something like that. it's better to watch it on a small screen. These movies need boom, to get the effect as great as it is.
It depends on how sold you
Now-
are on visuals. If you're
now,
not sold on visuals, that's not the same.
That being said, it is my turn. That's that. So that's what I say about that. I highly recommend you see these in the theater.
And we're gonna interrupt you now.
And okay, so but since I said it, I've got to pick one, and Fantastic Four was better, for a lot of the reasons that were mentioned here. Even though I did love the chemistry between Lois and Clark, and so there's so much good about this. The casual fight outside the window was great because it showed a superhero universe. Everybody has their, a lot. Like, where was the Avengers when the Dark Elves ran a ship through a city? You get that. There's stuff all. It's my turn.
Sorry.
So, you get that a lot. You get that a lot where, hey, where's this? Where's that? This we actually saw. Okay, there's even though Superman and Lois are having downtime, they're still out there fighting. I liked all that kind of stuff. What is my favorite of the Marvel Universe? What is my least favorite of the Marvel Universe? I keep finding myself going back to Infinity War.
Well, you know what?
As far as my favorite, my least favorite has, if I just stick to the movies, my least favorite's probably Thor: Love and Thunder. It's god awful. It is awful on levels that I cannot.
Better than the first two.
No, it isn't. Thor: Love and Thunder with the bleeding goats is far worse than anything.
You limited to the DMCA though, because I would have said Blade or Incredible Hulk.
But since I included TV shows, What If? I disagree with that show on a principled level. As far as the DC movies, and by that I guess we're talking about the recent ones, starting with Man of Steel forward, my favorite is Zack Snyder's Justice League. I love that film. I don't watch it as often as others because
it's bleeding out
4 hours long. Yeah, it's a commitment. But I do. My least favorite of all of the DC films. I'm trying to think, or is there something that I watched that I was like, oh my gosh, this is god awful? It has to be Wonder Woman 1984.
You sure you don't mean Birds of Prey? Because I know how much you hate that one.
Yes, I actually forgot that, you motherfucker. I had it out of my head finally. Yeah,
sorry,
yeah, right.
I just know that's one of the few that's one of the few superhero movies I've seen you be negative on.
It is horrible. It is horrible. It is. You're right. Actually, Wonder Woman has been redeemed just by mentioning that. I forgot that.
We're doing only Marvel. We're doing Marvel and DC.
We threw that in. Why not? I don't care. It's my show.
Well, Dom did, and so I felt the need to contextualize stuff.
So after I play by the rules, y'all
go on ahead. Tell us your favorite and least favorite DC, and then we're all caught up.
Favorite DC is looking at Superman 78. Least favorite?
No. Recent.
Oh, recent?
Starting at Man of Steel, ending at Superman 2025.
Yeah.
Least favorite is probably Batman versus Superman because it had the crappy Lex Luthor wannabe. It had a lot of problems with it, But and plus I just watched it too. I mean, I did not like that movie, even though there was parts where you're seeing Superman being heroic. But I was just like, Batman's like, Superman's just fighting against Zod and just almost killing everybody and stuff. The guy got his legs crushed and stuff, blah blah. But favorite though, man, of recent though, like we're going back within the past couple of years.
Start at Man of Steel, end with the 2025 Superman.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember everything that came out for like freaking. Yeah, that is
Superman, Man of Steel. Oh, go ahead.
I'd say the Batman.
Matt Reeves Batman?
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, okay. Oh, favorite. I thought we were talking about least favorite. Okay.
my least favorite was Batman versus Superman.
Gotcha. So. Yeah. Batman Matt Reeves was really good.
It was.
You brought up you're talking about the Superman stuff, and the first thing I forgot I do mention though is that Superman wanted to create a zoo, but they killed his pet.
That's true. Yeah.
They killed him.
Yeah.
And here's my thing: is like where is the media all over these guys? Well, they killed this monster and it fell down and just took out some buildings and stuff. Now we have a dead corpse there. It's like, and like,
Yeah,
but
they really
it's-
shouldn't have gone with the media angle for the
Meat
plot.
for everybody is basically.
it would have been
yeah.
great though if it would have been like Gilbert Godfrey.
All right,
I wish I wish he was still around so he could voice Mixie again.
Sorry, Glorious Godfrey, whatever his name was, the guy from the DC universe.
Which was better, Wonder Woman 84 or the Marvels? Oh my goodness gracious!
Wonder Woman 84.
Here's the thing. Let me have Wonder Woman's action with the Marvel's characterization.
Do I consent my body being used to have sex with Wonder Woman? Yes.
Yes. I actually liked the interaction between the actresses in the Marvels. I thought the characters were good.
So
But the
does that
action when the bad guy was absolutely horrible.
Does that
Wonder
guy have
Woman.
to pay child support though?
Say again.
Does that guy have to pay child support even though Chris Pine hijacked his body and knocked up Wonder Woman?
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't think Wonder Woman got pregnant from that.
We don't know.
That would have been interesting, but she didn't get pregnant from that.
There you go. All righty, gang. So tomorrow is my birthday. As a matter of fact, welcome. I am 55 years old right now.
And that's young.
Actually, I will be in about 4 hours.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
You're 55, 56?
55 years old today.
You know what it is? It means you're old enough to go to Denny's and say, I want the fucking senior meal.
There you go. I might spend my day going around getting free desserts. I'm gonna go from restaurant to restaurant that gives out free birthday desserts.
Might as well stock up food.
Yeah, I got my free popcorn and drink when I went and saw.
Can I get my free Grand Slam to go?
Yeah. So the thing is we were planning stuff, but life stepped in. So I don't know what's going on, but I do know I don't think I'm going to be doing the show, the cover ranking. We were talking about doing something and just having the day with my family is, if we can't go out and we can't do stuff, then at least having the day with the family.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would blame you from that.
If you guys want to take the keys to the car and y'all want to do a late night thing, that's awesome.
Or if everybody here wants to come to Geeky Puppet Show, I'll just do a late night on my channel.
Or you could do that.
I knew it was coming. As soon as he started talking, I was like,
he's monetized now, so he wants to get the watch time hours. I get it.
Why not?
So yeah, that makes sense.
Well, this way I can't get accused of just destroying the car.
What you could do is you could link them to both. That way, and then say, hey guys.
Let me link it and then no one watches on my channel.
No. What you do is say, I in about 10 minutes I'm going to turn off I Love Comics, and it's going to be there. Then again, it might just turn the whole thing off. So yeah, it's a bad idea. Best comic movie for me, probably the worst is Madam Web Says MK. I know a lot of people, but man, Thor Love and Thunder just pissed me off.
Everybody's throwing their other movies. Like, I've never seen Eternals. I've never seen Captain Marvel 2. I've never seen Man of Web. I mean, I like Black Widow, and I know it gets a lot of hate, but hey, I'm the guy that liked Dark Fate.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I like Dark Fate.
So I mean, I didn't have a problem with Black Widow.
You people are too kind, honestly.
I mean, by the way,
I get to stare at him. Oh no, here's the thing: I get to stare at Scarlett Johansson's ass along with Yelena, whatever her actress' name, and all the whole.
Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was happy with that. Do I care? Like, it's unbelievable that she jumped out of the whatever the helicopter or whatever this and survived. I was like, okay, but we have other characters we have Batman, and we have all the other characters that are street level that survive ridiculous things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's a freaking comic book. It's a comic book movie. As I said, when people put too much logic into these movies, you ruin it for yourself.
The comics are better when they have their own logic, though. That's one of the things we always bitch at when they don't pay attention to things like in-universe logic and continuity.
Yeah, but the thing is in a comic book, you would accept Batman being punched by somebody as large as Super Bane and walking away when in reality that would kill him.
Batman doesn't need to throw one punch at all at Darkseid. All he has to do is say, like, yeah, you know those warheads? I'm going to destroy your freaking planet if you don't back off.
We accept strange things in comics that we don't accept in movies.
But that doesn't mean they don't have to abide by in-universe logic and in-universe continuity and in-universe characterization.
My point was, before you guys cut me off like a classic duel, a dynamic duel, I was going to say that the Fantastic Four movie felt like a Stan Lee, Jack Kirby plot the whole way through. If you read those comic books, early ones, Stan liked to stretch plots a little bit. You know, not everything had a sound reason the way how it reads out everything. You're just supposed to say, you know what? I got to see the Thor everybody in the Fantastic Four do stuff. Johnny's useless the whole entire freaking comic book series. You know, legally is. There's a reason.
Yeah, I know that's an in joke on the channel.
I saw that. But if you read the comic books, he really is. He's kind of like it's like Robin. You wear the bright colors, so they notice you first.
But that's why it's good that Marvel eventually got better writers. I don't support the idea of it doesn't have to make sense. In the same way as I blow a blood vessel every time someone mentions Joe Quesada, same as it's magic, we don't have to explain it. No, Joe, you very much do have to explain it, specifically because it is uncommon knowledge for most people.
I'm happy with Black Girl Magic. You guys are bigots.
Well, it makes you fly.
Which they unironically did. They unironically did a second time because fucking of all the places to stick the lamest devil in the Marvel canon, they stuck the lamest devil of the Marvel canon into an Ironheart show for some inexplicable and inscrutable reason.
That you're right. Okay, I watched season 1 of What If. I watched about 20 minutes of Riri and turned it off. I'm changing my vote. The worst freaking thing the MCU has ever done is Riri Williams. I cannot watch it.
Pixel just got out of seeing I Know What You Did Last Summer, and he said it sucked.
He got out of seeing what?
The one you didn't like. I Know What You Did Last Summer. He didn't like it either.
Oh my god, it did suck.
Has he ever seen the first one? The first one was not that great either. Why do you think it's going to get better?
It wasn't. I know, right? It's the same. Urban Legends was horrible, and it had like 6 sequels.
It was literally like Gordon's Fisherman, the brand, and he's got a hook. He's killing people. You don't like my fish sticks?
Fisherman. He's mad that that you're not buying his product. All right. Yeah. So, anywho, you kids, thanks for hanging out. I guess the irony is not lost on me that we spent almost as much time as it would take to watch both Superman and Fantastic Four talking about the Superman and Fantastic Four movies.
We could have been watching the best movie ever, Justice League.
Not the Snyder's Cut either. Yeah.
No. Because I know Dalton still has another hour of rant at him, and so do you.
I do, in all honesty, but just not about this.
When you both are like the movable object meets the, it's just like the Thing versus the Hulk. When you both disagree, so you both push back, and I love it. It's just like Dominic's like, I'm gonna go for a smoke break. I'll be right back.
So What You're Reading is going to come back next week with Shadow Man, which I just finished reading issue number 3. It's pretty good. I recommend it. Please read it so you can join the conversation. And I got to talk to you guys about getting together. Let's talk about some other books as well. That would be fun. Let's see. Then we're going to continue. Wednesday would be the Charlton Gothic, and then Thursday will be the one that we should have done tomorrow, which is
you and Dalton review the Netflix Sandman season 2.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about season 2 of Sandman, which I got Dalton to watch so we could review it, and I haven't even.
I haven't yet because you keep pushing back the day you want to do it. Yeah. Tell me when you need me to have it watched by, so I know when I need to start subjecting myself to it, please.
It's like what do you want to eat? I don't know. It's not that simple.
Right. Okay. That being said, guys, thanks for hanging out with us, and as always, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good night. Be safe.
Cheers, guys.